Brett Favre is the local hero who comes home to the Louisiana Superdome in New Orleans today as the Green Bay Packers try to nail down a wild card berth against the New Orleans Saints. Hello, everybody. Along with Matt Millen, I'm Dick Stockton. The overriding story is going to be Reggie White, of course, who presumably was out for the season with a torn hamstring on Tuesday. Not only is he going to play today, he won't start, will play. The question is, Matt, how much will he see?
Well, the way it was put to us makes sense. First of all, they said how he warms up will be a determining factor. And then once he's in the game, how he plays will be the other factor. Well, I got to tell you, I watched him in the warm-ups, and he looked outstanding. Ran free, did all of his power moves, did his stuff up the field. Based on that, I've got to think we're going to see him pretty early.
At last Sunday, the Packers stumbled at Tampa Bay, stalling their playoff situation. How do they get back into form today?
Well, I think it all falls on the shoulders of Brett Favre. You know, a few weeks ago, Brett Favre said, as I play well, this team plays well. If I don't play well, we don't play well. Last week, he proved that. They went down to Tampa Bay. He didn't have a stellar game. They got beat. In order for them to win today, Brett Favre has got to have a big game.
Saints, as you know, stumbled early. They were 0-5, but they come on strong. They are 6-8. Jim Mora is under fire here. So what is the main concern for the Saints against the Pack today?
Well, defense, number one. And in the defense, two words, big plays. If they eliminate big plays, they'll have a chance to win this football game.
All right, so the Packers and the Saints on this Saturday from the Superdome. Back with the opening kickoff in just a moment. Back at the Superdome in New Orleans, and let's clarify the playoff picture in the NFC. Right now, as you know, the 49ers and the Cowboys, division winners and leaders, and Green Bay also in first place. The Packers, the Eagles, the Falcons, and the Lions control their own destiny. That means if they win out, they will be in the playoffs, and the Packers, if they win out, will win the division. The Vikings, the St. Louis Rams, the Chicago Bears, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers need a lot of help. Mike Holmgren, whose Packers were held to their lowest point total in 23 regular season games, only 10 against Tampa Bay, looking for more this week against the Saints. And Jim Mora, who philosophical about his coaching future. Speculation is he may not survive. And one thing it should be noted, Matt, for the first time in 10 years, the Saints failed to sell out any of their home games here at the Superdome.
Yeah, that really doesn't come down to coaching. That comes down to wins and losses based on what kind of players you have.
Doug Bryan will be kicking off, and back deep, Antonio Freeman and Travis Jervey for the Packers. And we're underway, and it's headed towards Freeman at the goal line. Antonio Freeman still on his feet and down at about the 27-yard line. So Brett Favre from Hill, Mississippi, and he has a lot of his friends and followers here today, leading the National Football League with 32 touchdown passes, and will start the Pro Bowl. Up front, it's Rutgers, Taylor, Winters, Galbraith, and Dotson in a good offensive line. Edgar Bennett having a big year, as is Robert Brooks, and Mark Shimura, the tight end, also going to the Pro Bowl. Those are the impressive numbers for Favre as the Packers start from their 27. Throwing on first down and getting up rush, and the swing pass, good catch. Edgar Bennett gets into Saints territory, and a big play on first down. Sean Lumpkin made the tackle, and a big gain of 26 yards. So that big play Matt was talking about against this New Orleans defense, Wayne Martin should be going to the Pro Bowl. That's the defensive line for the Saints. Their linebackers are Richard Harvey, Brian Jones, and Rufus Porter. In the secondary, Eric Allen heading for the Pro Bowl, and Shane Pahukoa again starting at free safety for the injured Vince Buck. From the 47, opening up the middle for Edgar Bennett, and he dives forward to the 41-yard line.
Remember at the beginning of the season, everybody looked at the Green Bay Packers and they said, what kind of year are they going to have? They lost Sterling Sharp. They lost all these people. And they say, what we do have is Brett Favre. And so he's had a tremendous year. And a couple weeks ago, he came out and he said, if I play well, we win. If I don't play well, we lose. That upset Mike Holmgren, but the bottom line is he was 100% right.
2nd and 4. Favre up the middle, and Mark Shimura, the tight end, close to the first down, maybe shy by a half a yard. And ball now at the 37-yard line of the New Orleans Saints. First possession of the game.
If you watched the pregame show, you heard Howie Long talk about what the Saints would do defensively. They were going to take Eric Allen. They were going to match him up man and then play zone behind him. On the very first play, they did just that. They took Eric Allen, they matched him up man, the receiver ran across, and it opened the whole side of the field open. And so if they're going to do that, they're going to have to tighten their zone around Eric Allen.
Third down and 1. Two tight ends in there, and the give was to Dorsey Levens. And Levens will have enough for a Packer first down. Green Bay coming in with a record of 9-5. They have not won 10 games since the 1989 season.
The New Orleans defense this year really went through a lot of changes. And they got rid of Steve Sidwell, last year's defensive coordinator. They brought in Monty Kiffin. They changed from a 3-4 to a 4-3. And I think it's taken this team about half a season to figure out what they are. Now they're actually playing their best defense.
From the 36, and the give is to Bennett. This team used to be known for their defense with the likes of Pat Swilling and Ricky Jackson, but that whole thing has changed, and they're more of a stronger offensive team now.
They need to get personnel back. You know, so much has been brought on Jim Mora's shoulders about all the coaching. You know, he doesn't have it anymore. I think that's baloney. It always comes down to players. The same story is being said down there in Miami with Shula. And that's baloney too. You have players, you got a chance.
Second down and 6 on the 32 of the Saints. Fake, two fakes, and Shimura wide open. And the tight end finds a hole up the middle and gets inside the 20 before Pahukoa makes a stop and a pickup of 13.
This is very well conceived. Now, you know, you're going to see two fakes. The reason they're doing this is simple. See, Green Bay runs the best screen plays in the league. And so what Holmgren did right there is he faked a screen to the left, then he fakes a screen to the right. Now that splits your defense. And then they come right back in the middle with Mark Shimura. And because it's split wide open, he just hits it right in the middle.
Packers have the ball on the New Orleans 19. Keith Jackson is in at tight end. And the pass is caught, and a touchdown to Anthony Morgan. Brett Favre made it look easy. A 19-yard scoring strike to Anthony Morgan. That is his 4th touchdown catch of the year.
Watch how decisive Brett Favre is. He knows where he wants to go. He knows he has Morgan, and the ball comes out of there. I mean, it is hot. Watch this thing. Right in the slot, right in the zone, hit right between. You have to have a strong throw in that situation, in that zone, to make it work. Favre made it work.
And that is the 33rd touchdown pass, which matches the club record that Brett himself set last season. Chris Jackie is on to try the extra point, so Jim Mora's Saints find themselves in an early hole. And the kick is perfect. And the Packers on their first possession take a 7-0 lead as Favre hits Morgan with the first score of the game.
This Fox NFL special is brought to you by Honda, who offers an impressive family of cars, sport utility vehicles, and minivans. By Canon, we have the systems that are the solution. By AT&T, your true choice. And by American Express.
Green Bay Packers lead the New Orleans Saints 7-0. An impressive first drive in which Brett Favre was 4 for 4 for 61 yards, 7 plays, 73 yards. Craig Hendrick will kick off for Green Bay. Tyrone Hughes, a tremendous return threat, is deep for the Saints. And a good kick by Hendrick well into the end zone, but Hughes is going to run it out nonetheless. He's got a world of speed. And now you see why he'll run it out from 5 or 6 yards in the end zone. Doug Evans with the tackle and a return of 43 yards by Hughes.
Well, in that touchdown, the Saints make a classic blunder. See this right here? You cannot let this slot man off without jamming him. Then they go to a 3 deep, and here is the weakness of the zone. Favre noticed it right away, and he went to it immediately. And because the ball came out so quick, it was like stealing.
So let's see how the Saints answer that foray as they begin from their 38. Is stopped. Bates coming into the game needing 111 yards to reach the 1,000 mark. Jim Everett having another good year since coming over from the Rams. He has been reborn here in New Orleans. Offensive line, Craig Nowitzki makes his first start at center for Jeff Ulenek, and William Rofe headed for another Pro Bowl. Bates, the running back. Haynes early, the wide receivers. Irv Smith and Wesley Walls, the ex-49er, the tight ends. Reggie White on the sidelines for this first series. Second and 10, and the rush coming from the linebacker position. Wayne Simmons put the rush in on Jim Everett on the pass intended for Michael Haynes, and Reggie White comes in early here on the third play of the game.
Come in early? You kidding me? He jumped off that sideline.
The defense started with Gabe Wilkins starting at defensive end, but you can cross him off, Matt. Kuntz, Kelly, and Simmons, the linebackers. Kelly has played well for Strickland. Evans, Newsom, Butler, and Teague, the secondary. It'll be 3rd and 10. Some pressure on. The pass is caught by Quinn Early. Gets by a couple of defenders. One man to beat. And Early is tackled at the 21-yard line. Mike Fryer put on the Jets coming downfield and made the catch to prevent a touchdown or the tackle. And a gain of 41 yards for New Orleans. You
know, it's funny. They talked about not giving up big plays for New Orleans, and here they get one, and the simple reason: missed tackles. You're going to watch Quinn Early go out. Lenny McGill's going to close on him. Now, here's where the tackle has to be made, right there. And Evans just does a poor job. Now, once he's into that next level, all it becomes is just a chase. You can see Evans missed the tackle, never squared him up.
That was a big problem for the Pack against Tampa Bay, missing tackles in the secondary. Ball at the 21. Everett to Bates. Bates is hit and knocked out of bounds. Doug Evans making the play, but the Saints trailing are threatening here on their first possession after a gain of 5.
I'll tell you where there's going to be a nice battle today right up here. William Rofe 77 on Sean Jones 96. Now Sean Jones really played well last week. He ate Paul Gruber up down in Tampa Bay. This is going to be a nice battle. Sean Jones again is going to be the alternate to the Pro Bowl for like a record 8th time.
And Reggie White is in. Sean Jones at the other end, 2nd and 5. On the draw play, Derek Brown trying to go outside. And George Teague finally pushes him out of bounds, close to the first down, right near the sticks at about the 12.
Well, remember at the beginning of the game, we said, what do you do with Reggie White when he's in there? He defines things. Now, this is away from the ball. When Reggie White is in the football game, you can see the power. I mean, that leg looks fine. They will not run at him. And when they don't run at him, you know it's got to go someplace else. Now, I'll be interested to see if the Saints do what Jimmy Johnson said. Make him move that foot and that leg and try to get him outside and use his speed.
Just amazing that he's in there today at all. 1st and 10 from the 11-yard line. And we'll have a whistle. And we may have a penalty against the offense as Gordon McCarter jumps in, and it is a penalty against the Saints. The first penalty of the game with 8:14 remaining in the first quarter.
Delay of game, offense, 5 yards, still first down.
So it'll be 1st and 15, and the ball will be set back to the 16-yard line. And 92 back in there on a passing situation, 1st and long. Packers don't blitz, and Everett's pass is caught inside the 5 by Torrance Small. Remember, the Saints can get a first down without scoring a touchdown, but they got 14 of those yards back with Mike Pryor defending.
Yeah, and the way they did it was with play action. So they fake inside to Bates, and that makes everybody bite, particularly your inside coverage out of your backers. You can see Simmons bit up inside. Now, when they do that, they just bring Torrance small, and they set him right down in the middle of defense. There's Fritz Shermer, the defensive coordinator. That's a thinking man's coach right there. And if there's adjustments to be made, he'll make them.
He has been around, and he has been successful wherever he's gone. Saints have called a timeout. They're trying to even things up here in the first quarter. New Orleans Saints, who are out of the playoffs for the third straight year, stumbled early, losing their first 5 by a total of 14 points in 4 of those games. But they've won 6 out of 9, so under Jim Mora, they play awfully hard, and they're playing that way at this point. Second down and 1 at the 2-yard line. Ray Zellers is in the game, the rookie from Notre Dame, and he scores. So they give it to the fullback, and the Saints get the touchdown. Zellers, a second-round pick, with his second touchdown of the season.
It's just power football with a power back. And that Ray Zellers, a Pittsburgh kid, just a big, strong guy out of Notre Dame. Watch, all they do, they're just going to hand him and just go man-to-man. Hey, you get your blocking up front, and then it just becomes personal. I like that Ray Zellers. I think it means something to him.
Saints have always had a big group of running backs, and Zellers continues in that tradition. Doug Bryan with Klaus Wilmsmeyer, the holder. And the kick is good, and the score is tied. So Reggie White has picked his spots, but this was a running play all the way on 2nd and short, and Ray Zellers straight away ties the game at 7. Each team has scored on their first drive of the game, 7-7, with 7:17 to go in the first quarter. 7 plays, 62 yards. Everett 3 for 4, and Zellers with a 2-yard run. Doug Bryan will kick off. Zellers on special teams, as most rookies are. Freeman and Jervy are back deep. This is a short kick, and it's going to be Antonio Freeman again with the return from the 11. Freeman finds an opening. Well, we've had a couple of good returns.
And the ball
fumble, and the ball was fumbled on the 35-yard line. And it is still in the possession of the Packers. They have not lost many fumbles this year.
Watch Antonio Freeman. He sees the crease and he just heads it right up back inside. And then a nice job right there. Gets his hand in. That's Anthony Newman, number 30. Got his hand in and popped that ball out.
Travis Jervy made the recovery. And so the Packers, who have lost only 5 fumbles this year, maintain possession. They start from the 35. Fewest in the NFL, having coughed it up only 5 times. First down, 7-7 the score. Brett Favre going up top for Morgan again. And a flag, and we're going to have an interference call against Eric Allen of the Saints.
Boy, they don't waste any time, do they? Brett Favre sees a matchup. He has such confidence in his arm that he just airs that thing out. I think that's the difference with Brett Favre this year.
Pass interference, number 21 defense, automatic first down.
And he's not afraid. I mean, he knows there's a Pro Bowl corner in Eric Allen. You can see it right there. That's where it came. And he looked back and he got his arm up. All that was all right, but his left hand made contact with Morgan right there. And that was the difference, because he was able to keep Morgan's right arm down, and then he couldn't make the catch. But I like the confidence of Brett Favre's arm, and knowing that he has a man up, doesn't care who it is, he's going to.
That was a 46-yard penalty, nearly a bobble by Edgar Bennett, and that stalled him just enough for the Saints to pursue in a gain of 2. And right now, for a McDonald's game break, let's return to Terry Bradshaw in our Hollywood studio.
All right, thank you, Dick. Earlier today, Cordell Stewart takes a pitch out from Neil O'Donnell. The quarterback scampers 22 yards as the Steelers go on to take care of the Patriots 41-27 and clinch a first-round bye. Now back to Dick and Matt.
Boy, are they hot or what?
Boy, and that Cordell Stewart, he is going to be a lot of fun to watch over his career because he is exciting anytime he's near the football.
Packers with a 2nd and 8. Edgar Bennett in motion wide to the right. Pressure from the linebacker, but wide open is Brooks for the touchdown.
Well, touchdown number 34. They have made this thing look so easy, it's scary.
It's amazing how the NFC Central has all of a sudden become a scoring machine with most of their teams, including the Packers.
Well, you know about Favre's toughness, and you know about his arm, but I want you to watch both right here because he knows he's going to get waxed. And he stands right in there, and the ball comes out perfectly thrown.
And a new club record for Brett Favre, breaking his old mark now with 34 touchdown passes. And that was number 11 for Brooks. So Chris Jackie with the extra point, and the Packers did not have to live with a tie for long. They lead it now by a score of 14-7 on the connection from Favre to Brooks. 14-7, the Packers lead. We're still in the first quarter with the makings of a shootout here at the Superdome. Packers with touchdowns on their first 2 possessions. Both passes from Brett Favre, and the Saints, who scored on their first possession, will get another chance now. And there's the man who was guilty of the pass interference call for 46 yards, Eric Allen. Tyrone Hughes, 2 yards in the end zone, runs it back. He had a 43-yarder the last time. This time will have to be content. Stopped at the 28 by Mickens.
Another blunder. You know, you go out, and here comes the strong safety. Now, the safety cannot let this receiver down here without hitting him. I mean, you have 5 yards. You have to stop him somehow, get a little jam. They just left him alone. And he just splits again in that 3-deep zone, and it's like stealing. Now, look at Robert Brooks. He thinks he's at home. You know, at home, he jumps into the stands. Heck, he's down to New Orleans. He sees this Packer shirt over here. Figures, what the heck, jumps right into the stand.
A lot warmer in here than it is back home.
And they love him just the same.
First down from the 29-yard line. Everett off his back foot, going deep and incomplete. And Quinn Early was covered well in a flag down. Doug Evans was defending, and this time Evans might have pushed Early. And it looks like the Saints are going to be the beneficiaries of a penalty against the Packers. And that'll put the ball in Green Bay territory.
Pass interference, number 33 defense, automatic first down.
Well, you know, you get that 5-yard jam, and you're going to turn them to the outside, and you just run with them. Now, there's no contact there.
I don't know.
That's no good. That's a bad call.
And he was going for the ball.
For the football. And you have to let both the guys work.
Saints catch a break. First down on the Packer 47. 3 wide receivers in the game. Myers' pass is batted down at the line of scrimmage.
Well, I think if there's any question as to whether Reggie White's leg is any good, this is going to answer it right here. Because he's going right back to what he does best. And he's just going to use the old Howie Long hump move. I mean, that is just, in order to use it, looks like an upper body throw. But in order to do that, you've got to have your lower body intact. Because everything starts through your hips and your legs. That was just a pure power move.
Playing today, was out for the season Wednesday. Now things change in a hurry. Mario Bates with a short gain. It'll be 3rd and long for the Saints. No gain on that play. And Sean Jones, who had a couple of sacks against Trent Dilfer last week in Tampa Bay, makes the tackle.
You know, Sean Jones may be one of the most cerebral players in all of the game. And this guy is a pure studier. He picked up good study habits when he was with the Raiders. Had good tutors, Howie Long and myself, and he never forgot that lesson. Now, honestly, I mean, the guy really studies, knows everything about the offense.
You do say so yourself.
If I do say so myself, right.
Out of the shotgun on 3rd and 10. Everett's pass is caught by Quinn Early, shy of the first down by about 4 yards. George Teague makes the tackle, and that'll bring up 4th down. And you know, the Saints don't have Morton Anderson anymore to try those boomers, and it looks like they're going to go for it on 4th down. Fourth and 5, and the Saints trailing 14-7 are going for it.
Trying to get him to jump. It's not going to work.
Well, they try to draw the Packers, who were wise to that maneuver. We've seen it so many times this year. So now they are going to send their punting team in.
You know, I was thinking, boy, Jim Moore, that's a gutsy call. I guess he figured, you know, they haven't been stopping him on the kick returns, and they haven't been stopping him defensively. He may as well take his shot. But he had the old trick or extra card up his sleeve there and played his ace.
And Fritz Shermer, of course, makes sure his defensive unit is wise to that maneuver. So Klaus Wilmsmeyer will be kicking. Freeman and Mike Pryor are deep.
Every time I see that Klaus Wilmsmeyer, it makes me think of a Maxwell Smart. Mr. Wilmsmeyer, we have ways of making you speak.
Well, Wilmsmeyer and Bryan, both former 49ers, now with the Saints. After a delay of the game penalty, Bryan with more room, trying to keep it in the field of play, but can't. It goes into the end zone for a touchback. Well, we have a NFL doubleheader tomorrow on Fox. Tell you what's in store on Fox NFL Sunday. Cardinals against the Eagles, who are fresh from their shocking upset over the Dallas Cowboys, and a critical call by Barry Switzer. That's the first half. Giants and the Cowboys. What about the Dallas situation right now, man?
I think, to be honest with you, I think people are throwing dirt on them way too fast. They've got way too much talent, and if you want to get confidence back and you want to get some wins back, they're going to turn around and hand the ball to Emmitt Smith. And great players have a way of getting things right. I'll expect them to be right tomorrow against the Giants.
Favre has been right so far today with a new Packer touchdown record. First down from the 20. Fake one way, and wide open is Shimura. And the Green Bay tight end blown dead. It was blown dead, and it should be enough for a Packer first down as Allen and Lumpkin defended the tight end.
Well, he's getting some nice protection back there. And then because of the protection, it just looks like a sieve. That's secondary. I mean, watch the protection up front. If he's going to take this much time to look this way, come all the way back to the other side of the field and find a tight end sitting in the seam, I mean, he's going to score 100 points today.
Amazing. Keith Jackson joined the team. Everyone thought it was going to be curtains for Mark Shimura. He goes on and finishes a Pro Bowl season. From the 31-yard line, Edgar Bennett dives for a couple. And it'll be second and long with Wayne Martin making the play.
And there's a guy, Wayne Martin. You know, you heard Howie Long talk about in the pregame show about how he was slighted, and it's easy to see why. You know, 2 years ago when we watched him, he had like 14.5 sacks, and you know, I really thought that he had a good year, but he wasn't quite sure. This year, what Wayne Martin has done is he's got an all-around game. He still has the 11 sacks, but now he plays the run very, very well. I think he's a complete player, and I would agree with Howie. I think he was slighted.
Second and 9. Again, Bennett in motion. Favre goes underneath. Incomplete. Intended for Brooks. Rufus Porter, the linebacker who had played with the Seattle Seahawks before this season, makes the play.
Yeah, Rufus Porter was a guy who they were really relying on and expecting a great deal of pressure from the outside. Then he went and got hurt early in the season. I've always liked Rufus Porter's game. He's got a great motor, and he'll always come 100 miles an hour. But when you have a blown tire, you know, in his instance was a groin, he can't go 100 miles an hour.
6 defensive backs for the Saints on 3rd and 9. Favre drills it, and unable to make the play is Mark Ingram. He had a chance to make that catch, and making the Play was Tyrone Hughes, one of the extra backs.
Well, this is no fault of Brett Favre. This ball is perfect. And then Ingram is playing in the National Football League. You got to make that catch. I mean, it hit him in a bad spot, the hands. And this is, everything's done perfectly. The only thing that happens is he drops the ball.
So after completing his first 6 passes, Favre incomplete on his last 2. Craig Hentrick will kick, and Tyrone Hughes is back for the Saints. A booming kick by Hentrick, who has kicked extremely well. Hughes inside the 15-yard line gets tripped up, and a fine play made by Jeff Thomason, the 3rd tight end on the Packers. I want to remind you that this game is presented by authority of the National Football League and is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the expressed written consent of the New Orleans Saints and the National Football League is prohibited. Dick Stockton, Matt Millen here at the Superdome. Packers needing a win to nail down a wild card berth. The only way they would capture the division title this weekend is if they were win and the Lions would lose or tie tomorrow against Jacksonville.
And I don't see that happening because the Detroit Lions are playing the best football I've seen them play since they went to the championship game a few years ago.
10.
Wesley Walls is a late entry to the lineup. Everett to throw on first down, has his arm hit, and it is ruled an incompleted pass. His arm was in the motion of throwing the ball. Gabe Wilkins put the pressure on Everett.
You know, when the Packers have this defensive front of them, Sean Jones and Gabe Wilkins, Darius Holland and John Yurkovich, what they have is pure power. I mean, Jones is the only guy who'll give you any kind of move outside. And so when the Packers go to this, the New Orleans Saints got to think, look, I just got to set short and make these guys run me over because nobody is going to give me any movement.
Second down and 10. Play action. Incomplete, and it was George Kuntz who came in and nearly got to Everett in time. A blitz by George Kuntz, who, by the way, is playing with a broken bone in his wrist and is wearing a soft cast.
Well, a nice call by Fritz Schirmer, the Packer defensive coordinator. He came with the blitz. Kuntz came unimpeded to the quarterback. And anytime you have that free shot, you have to force something, which in this case was a poor throw.
Here comes a blitz again on 3rd and 10, and Everett's pass is overthrown. Mike Pryor, one of the extra backs, came storming in from his safety position, and so the Packers, with their most impressive defensive stand, force the Saints to kick it away.
Yeah, what Fritz Schirmer did that time was he gave him a whole different look at the line of scrimmage. Brought a bunch of people up, brought the guy out the corner, and then went zone behind him.
Wilmsmeyer punting for the 2nd time, and Antonio Freeman back deep. So Everett is now 4 for 9 and 65 yards passing. Good high kick. Freeman at the 38 and is stopped at the 41-yard line by Kirk Botkin, and that's where the Green Bay Packers will take over for another possession. Travis Walton disappeared for 5 days, and the story he told has become the most famous case of UFO abduction ever reported. Based on a true story, don't miss Fire in the Sky, a world broadcast premiere on the Fox Tuesday night movie. You don't want to end up like him.
That doesn't look like much fun, does it? How come those things always happen near, like, around trailer parks and stuff like that?
It's a long story, man.
I never understood that.
Mark Ingram is in at wide receiver to the left on first down from the 42. Play action fake, and a lot of time for Favre. Dumps it off to Shimura, and he is out of bounds. Good coverage downfield by the Saints. Favre wanted to go deep. Richard Harvey made the tackle and a gain of 5 yards.
Nice job by Pocoa down below. What they're going to do, they're going to go with the play action side. They expect everybody to bite up. See, now right there, now Eric Allen, he stopped, and then he just runs deep. And then the safety comes over the top, and there's no place to throw. See, down here. And then so what Shimura does is he gets on Joe Johnson, block, block, block. Now something's up. Get out, and you become the hot man.
Second down and 5. Here's Edgar Bennett with blockers. Aaron Taylor, and that blocking broke down. And the Saints broke through. Rufus Porter and Ronaldo Turnbull. And a loss of 2 yards.
And there you had a nice look at Rufus Porter and the way he can run. And so much of the game now in the National Football League for linebackers has gone away from strength and power. It's gone to guys who can just flat out run. Rufus Porter is one of those guys.
Third down and 7 at the 45. Linebacking is one position where the Saints have been hurt because of injuries this year. And Brett Favre will call a timeout as the clock got down to 2 seconds with 48 seconds remaining in the first quarter. So the Packers lead the Saints 14-7, and we'll take a break. Well, as we said at the outset, this is a homecoming for Brett Favre, who's from Hill, Mississippi, just 45 minutes away. He's gotten off to a good start in this game with 2 touchdown passes, and he's got the families. Famous Mima.
Yeah, right there. There's Mima. Yeah, Brett Favre told me that's his grandmother. He told me that's the toughest woman he knows. He said she could have played linebacker better than me any day.
They're all there, about 30 or 40 packed into that box. Third down and 7. Here comes the blitz. It's picked up. Favre is running for it. He's got the first down and slides inside the Saints' 40-yard line.
Outstanding job by Edgar Bennett. He was the key. They picked the blitz up. Now here it comes running right up the middle. Edgar Bennett has got to make his block. Without it, you get a sack. Watch Lumpkin coming right up the middle. See, Edgar Bennett stands right in there and turns him back outside. And because he's able to open up the middle, Favre can step right into the middle of that pocket. And then it's just a free-for-all. And he picks up the big first down.
15 yards, and here's another look at Bennett with a big play.
I'll tell you what's most impressive about that with Bennett. See, normally he loves to cut you. I mean, he'll just go right for your legs and take him out. But because it was the way it was, and he's coming right up the middle, if he cuts him, it seals the middle of that line, and you have no pocket. He stayed up on him and turned him outside.
Joe Johnson, the defensive end, is the injured New Orleans Saint, and a terrific job on Sean Lumpkin by Edgar Bennett, who is really an unsung hero for the Green Bay Packers. And Brett Favre said there was another player on this team who I think should have gone to the Pro Bowl. It would be Bennett.
I mean, you look at Edgar Bennett's game, and you can see how you wouldn't vote him in, because he doesn't have, 1,500 yards rushing, and he doesn't have 80 catches. But I don't know if there's a more all-around player in the league than Edgar Bennett. He'll block like you just saw. He catches the ball extremely well out of the backfield. He'll run the football. He's closing in on 1,000 yards. I mean, this is not an offense that features the run. I mean, but when they need to have a big play, Edgar Bennett's always there.
3 Pro Bowl Packers: Favre, Reggie White, and Mark Shimura. For White, his 10th. Robert Goff replaces Joe Johnson on the defensive line for the Saints as Bennett runs to the 35-yard line, and that should be the last play of the quarter. A gain of 5 for Bennett, and that is the end of the first quarter here at the Superdome with the score: the Green Bay Packers 14, the New Orleans Saints 7. Start of the second quarter, Dick Stockton and Matt Millen. Jim Mora's Saints trail the Packers 14-7, and the Saints have struggled, particularly in the second quarter of games this year.
Well, you can see right there, 118 in the second quarter, and they haven't been able to keep pace. And right now they find themselves 2nd and 5 on the 35-yard line. They've not been able to stop this Green Bay Packer pass offense.
2nd down and 5. 2 tight ends for Green Bay. A penalty before the snap.
False start. 76 offense before the snap. 5 yards. Still 2nd down.
Right guard Harry Galbraith. By the way, Joe Johnson is back in the lineup for the Saints defense. He was out for 1 play.
Now, Harry Galbraith got set in his stance. Once you're in your stance, you're set. You can't move again until the ball is snapped.
Finally, send Brooks wide right. Brooks is open. He's got a touchdown, Packers. Once again, Brooks with a seemingly easy touchdown catch, and he's going to jump into that end.
Heck, he had to look first. He had to look where there was a Packer backer. I mean, all kinds of time for Brett Favre to make that throw. And then Robert Brooks just takes his good old time running that pattern. Again, this time they catch Jimmy Spencer, and again, inside the zone. I mean, they are eating that thing alive today. You've got to be able to adjust right now. Now look at Robert Brooks at the end. He's looking for a sign. Oh, here I am over here. Yeah, here's a Packer. And he goes over there, and just all he got was a little pat in the back. He was expecting somebody to hold him for a while.
Pretty good leap up that fence. The extra point by Jackie is good, and so Robert Brooks with 12 touchdown receptions on the year. And the Green Bay Packers have opened up a 21-7 lead over New Orleans.
This Fox NFL special is brought to you by Toyota and their full line of quality cars and trucks. Toyota, I love what you do for me. By McDonald's, official break of the NFL. By Sony Maximum Television, hear and see everything you pay for. And by Intel, the world's leading maker of microprocessors.
Back here in New Orleans, the Packers lead 21-7. Brett Favre with 3 touchdown passes. 2 to Robert Brooks, has completed 8 of 10, and now with 35 touchdown strikes on the year, and Brooks with 12, and the Packers lead 21-7. Craig Hendrick kicking off. Tyrone Hughes ready to return. Hughes cuts to the outside and is stopped at the 21, and good coverage that time, particularly by Jeff Thomas.
I want you to watch the coverage this time. This is supposed to be a 2 deep, and Mark Shimura is the one who makes the play, because as he gets depth up the field, the safety bites, and when he bites, that opens this thing. And now, when you're a corner and you're expecting help inside and it's not there, you're going to get beat. Now watch Kenny Ruckers, 75, working on Ronaldo Turnbull. So he gets up top, he gets it on. Now what he does a great job of is he gets depth with his feet. It almost looks like he's ready to hold the guy, but because he has the great feet and gets the depth, it allows the time for Favre to step up and throw.
Saints trailed by 2 touchdowns, and that time Mario Bates picks up about 3. And right now, for a McDonald's game break, let's return to Terry Bradshaw in our Hollywood studio. Terry.
All right, Dick, thank you. Earlier today, with just under 2 minutes left, Ernie Mills on a quick slant, breaks the corner tackle. Neil O'Donnell, the quarterback, finds him. 62 yards he goes as the Steelers win 41-27 and clinch a first-round bye. Now back to Dick and Matt.
All right, Terry, and of course the Packers will go against the Steelers next week in the regular season finale.
Yeah, and the Steelers are the hottest team in all of football. I mean, they're playing their best football offensively and defensively now.
2nd down and 7, and the hole closes in a hurry. Mario Bates, and it was George Kuntz who came in. Kuntz, who came out of the game last week and was replaced by Bernardo Harris, who played well, playing inspired football. And there's Reggie White and some of his friends coming back into the lineup on 3rd down.
Heck, I think they're going to get Reggie White tired from running back and forth to the sideline.
It's a way of working out, a little aerobics. Darius Holland, the rookie from Colorado, came in with him, number 90. Out of the shotgun on 3rd and 5. Holland is pointing to one of the Saints tackle, the right tackle, as if he had moved for a false start. Gordon McCarter will explain.
Well, in the interim, Nowitzki just got steamrolled.
Here's Nowitzki, who's starting at center for Jeff Ulenek. And the first time he has started at center in his career.
Encroachment, defense. 5 yards. The penalty is sufficient for a first down.
So that will cost the Packers as Holland jumped.
Yeah, watch Darius Holland right here, number 90. He's just going to take off. He just gave him a ride. Actually, Darius Holland's right. Nowitzki did move. He just had a little bit of a lean going backwards.
Here's Ulenek. on the sideline. Well, they got to listen to Darius a little more now, huh? First down on the 32. Play action. Everett's pass caught, and Irv Smith makes the reception downfield, and that'll be close to a first down, depending on the measurement, at the 43-yard line.
Watch Irv Smith, the tight end, is going to go down. He knows he's got man coverage. Whenever you're in man, hey, man-to-man's best friend is the middle of the field. If you can get in there, you know there's no help. So this time he's working on Leroy Butler. Just turns back inside. Ball's well thrown from Everett.
It is a first down for the Saints. Last week, Everett threw to his tight ends, and they combined for 11 receptions against the Atlanta Falcons. So the tight ends have gotten into more of the flow offensively this season with Jim Everett.
Yeah, both the tight ends. Wesley Walls had an outstanding year. He was able to stay healthy, which was the knock on him in San Francisco. He's come here and he's had a big year.
First down for the Saints on their 43. And the give is to Bates. Finds an opening off the left side. Mario Bates. And he's got another first down for New Orleans. Butler and Evans on the tackle, and Bates picks up 11 yards.
You're going to have a nice matchup here. Sean Jones and Willie Rowe. I want you to watch Sean Jones. Get a nice headbutt, and he straightens him straight up. But what Rowe does, he'll take the hit, and then he turns his rear end back inside. And by doing that, it opens the lane. A nice block right inside by the fullback, and then allows Bates to come blowing up inside.
In Packer territory at the 46, Everett with a quick hit, and it's complete to Walls. So there the tight ends getting into the action again. Wesley Walls, the former 49er from northern Mississippi, and a gain of 16 yards with Teague on the play.
Well, and whenever you start getting your running game going, that opens up your play action. And when you go play action, you got to think your tight end, particularly now with Wesley Walls. Wesley Walls has really blossomed into a really good receiver. What he's got to work on in his overall game is his blocking. He's not a real strong blocker.
Saints marching. They're on the Packer 30-yard line. Diving forward is Bates for a couple of yards. Even though those running plays may not pick up a lot of yardage, as Mike Holmgren has explained with Bennett, you have to show the run every now and then to loosen up the pass play.
Yeah, you have to. You can't become one-dimensional, or they just come blowing off the ball all the time. And even if you don't pick up, 10, 8, 6, 7 yards, whatever, even if it's just 1 or 2, you still have the threat of the run, and you just defend differently.
Second down and 8. Reggie White has checked in for Green Bay. Everett is going up top, and a great play and an interception by Craig Newsome in the end zone. The pass intended for Michael Haynes, the rookie from Arizona State, and the #1 draft pick, has made his first interception of the season. And the Packers will take over with the ball and the lead when we come back to the Superdome. Packers have the ball and the lead 21-7, with Newsome getting the interception. And the Green Bay defense has not turned the ball over to the offense much this year. Fewest in the NFL, only the 16th takeaway of the season. From the 20-yard line, Favre to Robert Brooks. And Brooks with a first down to the 32. Harvey on the tackle.
Well, what happened on that, Jim Everett could not step completely into this throw, and so it hung up a little bit. And the reason is Darius Holland just takes McCollum, the guard, just throws him right into his lap. And then the ball hangs up, and the Cardinal rule is never get beat deep in the zone. Now watch right up the top. See that? That's a beautiful job by Newsome of staying as deep as the deepest and not letting Haynes get past him.
Pitch to Bennett from the 32-yard line, picking the spot, and Edgar Bennett with a nifty run gets about 7 or 8 yards with Martin and Pahukoa. An 8-yard pickup for Edgar Bennett, who needed 70 yards coming into this game for 1,000 on the year.
Yeah, one of the reasons that Mark Shimura is going to the Pro Bowl is this right here. There are a lot of guys who make catches, but Shimura does an outstanding job of blocking. Now, he's not overpowering like a Dave Casper, but in today's game, he sticks to it. and he just stays on you like a bad smell.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
Needing 2 yards, Bennett will have enough for the first down as he brings it short of the 45. Lumpkin on the play. Mark Shimura from Boston College doing a good job of blocking, and he has been a hero as a receiver and has become one of Brett Favre's closest friends on the Packers.
Yeah, that's a good way to get balls. You know, if you want, whenever you're a receiver, tight end, back end, but you always make friends with that quarterback. You know, buy him some things, you know, tell him how good he's doing, how good he looks, even when he's ugly. It doesn't matter.
Smart guy. First down, play fake. And here is Dorsey Levens out of the backfield, and Levens close to the first down, and the Packer offense is in sync right now, no question about it. A gain of 9 on the play.
Last week in that game against Tampa, now the Tampa Bay Buccaneers played good defense, but Mike Holmgren felt like there was something he could have done, and what he could have done is what he's doing right now. He never got that Tampa Bay defense off balance. Right now, Mike Holmgren is in sync with his offense. Everything he's calling is working, and he's keeping that same defense not able to just settle in on one thing.
Pretty good numbers. 2 incompletions and 3 touchdown passes. 2nd and 1. Here is Bennett. He's got a first down inside the 45-yard line. Believe it or not, the Packers have not won a game on artificial turf since they last played and beat the Saints 2 years ago on November the 14th, 93. So they've lost 10 straight games on artificial turf, and pleased apparently to be back here at the Superdome where they lead by 21-7. First down on the 44. Pressure on Favre, and the pass incomplete and intended for Brooks.
A little behind, but a pass that Brooks has to catch. Now, I think one of the beneficiaries of this all passing offense and everything has been the offensive line. I think because they get rid of the ball so fast, they've gotten better as an offensive line. They go with 2- and 3-step drops. The ball comes out quick, and then their run game works off their pass game.
2nd and 10. Here comes the pressure, and Favre is going to be sacked for the first time today. Docked one of the players in, Wayne Martin and Joe Johnson, and the right side of the defensive line of the Saints just blew by the offensive front, and a loss of 4 yards.
Yeah, so this time they go with a 5-step drop. Now watch Aaron Taylor up top. He just gets powered by Wayne Martin. That's an outstanding move by Wayne Martin. Now Wayne Martin is also a studier. And when I spoke with him concerning the Packers offensive line, he said the one thing I can take advantage of is Aaron Taylor. Aaron Taylor will set and he'll get overextended. And by that I mean he gets his body going forward. I can take that and use it to my advantage. In that case he did.
3rd down and long, and the screen pass incomplete.
Wayne Martin almost took that one 48 and out the gate.
First he picks up his 12th sack of the year, and now he almost got a gift.
Yeah, watch Wayne Martin. Now he knows there's a reason why a guy stops blocking it. So he reads it perfectly, he comes back, and that ball hits him right in the chest.
So just when the Packers get their offense in rhythm for the first time in maybe 2 weeks, the Saints defense turns it up a notch, and Craig Hendrick will kick for the 2nd time. Hendrick, as the Saints will start from the 13-yard line when we return to the Superdome. With the Packers leading, want to tell you about the finalists for the NFL High School Coach of the Year, an award initiated this season by Commissioner Paul Tagliabue in the NFL clubs to honor coaches who have profoundly affected the athletic and personal development of an NFL player. And the winner, Bob Ladouceur, of the powerful Concord, California De La Salle High School team, and he was nominated by Doug Bryan, class of '89 at the De La Salle. Doug Bryan, who told me before the game that Bob could have been anything he wanted in his career, but he chose to be a teacher and has had a monumental influence on so many people, including himself. So congratulations to Bob Ladouceur, the NFL High School Coach of the Year. First down from the 13. Everett backed up against his own goal line, going deep, incomplete. He was going for Quinn early and defended downfield by Doug Evans.
Nice job by Doug Evans, number 33, the corner. He's going to be in a 3-deep zone, and when you're in that 3-deep, you can't let anybody get by you. So he uses his friend, which is the sideline, and then you just run. Now, as you're running, you're watching the receiver, in this case Early. When Early looks, you look.
Evans having a big year. In fact, the Packer corners have had a fine year, including Newsome. Ray Zellers is in the game at running back on 2nd and 10. And the give is to the rookie from Notre Dame, who scored the only Saints touchdown. He gets tripped up after a gain of 5.
I'll tell you, the Packers aren't afraid to mix things up. That time they brought Leroy Butler off the corner on a blitz. And then Zellers broke it back up inside.
You know, we're seeing Reggie White, who has not made any particular tackles or sacks, but I think just the fact that he came from out for the year to playing in this game lifted spiritually the entire Packer team.
Absolutely. And now, you know, they moved them down inside on defensive tackle. You know that leg's feeling pretty good.
3rd and 5 and a whistle, and we may have a false start against the Saints.
And it looks like they took off just a little too soon.
As we await the penalty, and we'll take a look.
False start. Number 85.
That's
offense.
Wesley Walls. The
Prior to the
NFC
snap,
Central
5 yards, still 3rd down.
Packers, of course, control their destiny. They cannot win the division outright today, but they can clinch a playoff berth with a win. Lions very much alive with a great story there at Jacksonville, or play home against the Jaguars tomorrow. Minnesota tied with them. They have the Niners on Monday. And Chicago and Tampa Bay also alive, but they need help. Third down and 10. Everett under pressure, and he's going deep, incomplete. Nowhere near Torrance Small, and that'll bring up 4th down. How do you make out the Central at this point? Detroit really has come on, maybe playing the best football.
Yeah, they really are. Detroit and Minnesota have to be kicking themselves for having such a poor start, because both of them now have really gotten in sync with their offenses. And I think Chicago, who was playing well at the beginning, is not playing well at all. Offensively is what they could rely on. Now they can't even do that. Their offense is out of sync. Defensively, they're having a lot of problems. Tampa Bay has solid defense, and that's what can help them win.
Klaus Wilmsmeyer to kick, but we'll have a whistle. And it looks like we may have another false start penalty against the Saints.
False start. 56 offense. 5 yards. Still 4th down.
Ernest Dixon that time, so they'll move it back 5. There's Jim Mora, who, in talking with him the other day, seems resigned to the fact that he may very well not be back next.
Yeah, if you read his body language, I think it says that I'm not going to be here. And I think that's a mistake, because I don't think the Saints know what they have. They won't realize what they had till he's gone.
Antonio Freeman back at the 43-yard line returning, and he dives into Saints territory. So Brett Favre will have terrific field position when we come back to New Orleans. Jim Mora in his 10th year has the 3rd best winning percentage of all the coaches who have been active since 1986.
You know, the interesting thing is these guys here have all been other places. But Mora and Shula are the only two who've been at the same place. And I think sometimes what happens, you get too familiar. And I think that's a mistake with Jim Mora, because I think he is an outstanding football coach.
Packers with their best starting position going to Brooks. Is Favre, who makes a diving catch. Another big play by Robert Brooks. Tyrone Leggett making the tackle. So the big plays that the Saints wanted to avoid, they've been unable to do that today. 35 yards.
Watch Favre. He sees it right away. I mean, he goes with a double move. Leggett bites and just hesitates just enough. And then he puts that ball out there where the safety can't get to it and Brooks can. This ball is thrown beautifully. And then Brooks makes a hard catch look easy.
And a new record for Brooks, setting a Packer record, 100-yard gains. He's his 8th of the season. Edgar Bennett with Aaron Taylor blocking, tries to turn the corner. So Brooks now, with 4 catches, has gone over the 100-yard mark for the 8th game this year.
Well, remember at the beginning of the game we said, if Brett Favre has a big game, then the Packers will win. Well, Brett Favre is having another one of those games that's incredible. And Brett Favre is having an MVP year. Now, there have been some comments made about, you shouldn't anoint Brett Favre MVP. He hasn't done anything. They haven't clinched anything. That stuff's baloney. It doesn't matter. Because without Brett Favre, this team doesn't have a shot.
Second and 8. Antonio Freeman is in the game now, and the pass is going to Freeman for the touchdown. So little used Antonio Freeman as a receiver, mostly as a return man. Catches the 4th touchdown pass of the game from Brett Favre, and we're still in the first half.
Again, nice protection by the offensive line. Nice job with Kenny Rutgers up top, just getting enough depth with Ronaldo Turnbull to allow Favre to step up and then find Freeman. Freeman works the DB perfectly. Again, double move. Leggett bites for the 2nd time in the same series. This time gives up the 6.
Chris Jackie trying to give the Packers a 3-touchdown bulge, and he does. And the Packers lead the Saints 28-7. And for Antonio Freeman, his first NFL touchdown catch. He was taken as one of 4 picks on the 3rd round out of Virginia Tech. And Virginia Tech having a big college season. And for Favre, he has gone over the 4,000 mark, joining Lynn Dickey and Don Mikowski in that department. So a terrific aerial game thus far, Matt, for the Packers, who after stumbling last week are in control so far.
But because, watch right there, see that little fake right there? And then Favre looked to the other side of the field, and what that did was that froze Leggett. And it made him bite. And when he bit, that opened Freeman up to the corner. Now, Brett Favre knows he's in one of those zones. He's having one of them days. And they've already scored 28 points. The only team that has stopped the Packers in this first half has been themselves.
A lot of hugs going on in the Favre family box up there.
Yeah, and justifiably so. I mean, they came to watch an MVP performance by their favorite son right there, and they're getting it.
From Kill, Mississippi, well, maybe an hour's ride from New Orleans. Couldn't wait to get in and enjoy some Cajun food with his family last night.
The interesting thing is, the more relaxed he is, the better he plays. And when you're up by 21, it helps you relax a little more.
Tyrone Hughes returning the kickoff, and he is upended shy of the 20-yard line. Today's Aflac trivia question: who was the first New Orleans Saints head coach? And it was 1967. That's the only hint we'll give. Packers held to 10 points against Tampa Bay last week. Their lowest in 23 regular season games have exploded for 28 so far in this first half.
Okay, you're down by 21. You have 4 minutes. If you're the Saints, you've got to score right here. On this series, you got to come away with 6 points.
Starting from the 19, and a running play to Ray Zellers. Zellers picks up about 3 yards on the play. He's a guy that's run into some problems. Jim Morris said, I like him. He's got good size, but our heads knocked a little bit earlier this season.
Yeah, he's a Pittsburgh kid. He's a tough kid. A guy out of Notre Dame. And you can see why he likes him. He's got some great feet. He's a powerful physical guy. And he has his own ideas. And that's just like a young horse. You got to collar him and pull him in a little bit.
I think you were that way at Penn State.
Yeah, there's a guy up there, Paterno, who and I butted heads a couple times.
2nd down and 7. Zellers, for a big guy, has some pretty good moves as well, and that'll bring up 3rd and short with Jurkovich on the stop.
Yeah, the people aren't real happy with 2 run plays right there. What that is a little bit of patience. But I mean, you have to question that right now. When you're down by 21, you got to move the ball. I mean, you got to get some chunks in first down, because if you come out of this with no points and the Packers get the ball back, they're going to bury you.
Reggie White is back in there. His team is leading 28-7. 3rd down and 4, and the pass pass is caught for the first down by Torrance Small. He was wide open up the middle and found the seam, and a first down at the 37-yard line.
And they just spread everything out. And then Torrance Small just finds the middle of that defense sitting down in the zone. That's a nice call by Carl Smith, the offensive coordinator, anticipating the zone and then calling his own route.
Here's Everett on first down.
Sean
Jones. Leg is down as Sean Jones gets Everett's arm and pulls him down.
Well, I'll tell you what, he just made Willie Roaf look like not a Pro Bowl guy, let me tell you. I mean, he blew right by him. Sean Jones' first step was so exceptionally fast.
77 offense, penalty declined, second down.
Watch his first step, and watch the arm, right to the shoulder. Boy, that's a thing of beauty. I mean, when you're teaching that arm to the shoulder, that's what you're going to show.
He was struggling early in the year, and then you looked with him at films of his old days of the Houston Oilers.
Yeah, and what he realized was that he wasn't as reckless as he had been. And he said, look, I just got to get back to playing my game. And since that point, he's been playing very, very well.
2-minute warning here at the Superdome with the score. The Packers 28 and the Saints 7. It's not on cable, and you won't see it on pay-per-view. Live from Philadelphia, Mike Tyson continues his quest to regain the heavyweight title when he goes head-to-head with Buster Mathis Jr. tonight at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific, right here on Fox. Finally, they're getting together. There's a fighter who will come off the ropes, as he's demonstrated on a couple of occasions this year. Reggie White, itching to get back in. Second down and 16 for the Saints following the 2-minute warning. Jim Everett fires, and the pass is caught by Torrance Small and gets a few extra yards close to midfield before he's wrapped up by George Teague. And a hurry-up offense, 18-yard pickup, 1:45 now on the clock. Saints have 2 timeouts remaining. And open again is Small, and Torrance Small with another first down inside the 25. Crawford, and that one is good for 28.
I mean, that's an extremely well-thrown ball by Jim Everett. This time Small just sits right down in that zone. They're catching him in the zone, and they're just running with him. Right now, it looks like the Packers are kind of out of sync.
They're on their heels. 2 timeouts remaining for the Saints. First down. Everett under pressure from Sean Jones. Dumps it off to Derek Brown. And Brown inside the 20-yard line. Under a minute remaining, and Jim Everett calling for a timeout. Slowly getting up and running it off. Well, the answer to today's Aflac trivia question, who was the first head coach in Saints history? And the answer is Tom Fears. From 67 to 70, he was a great wide receiver for the Rams, and he came to New Orleans after being an assistant under Vince Lombardi at Green Bay.
There's another former head coach for the New Orleans Saints. There he is. Oh, Hank Stram right there. The Hammer. Hank Stram, of course, took the Kansas City Chiefs to their only Super Bowl win. Lives here in New Orleans, and every time I see that guy, I just think to myself, why is he not in the Hall of Fame? Along with John Madden, 2 guys who got their Super Bowls and beat a coach who is in the Hall of Fame. I never understood that one.
To believe that. You know, the thing about Hank Stram, guy always goes in style, and in one of the public relations offices, a former table that Hank Stram used when he was coach is in the room, and that's the biggest table I've ever seen.
Yeah, and it also has style itself. I mean, it says Hank Stram when you look at it. I love the Hammer. One of my favorites right there, Hank Stram.
Second down and 4. Saints trying to score before intermission. Everett's toss is caught underneath by Quinn Early, and the clock continues to run. 45 seconds, and 1 timeout left for the Saints. 28-7. You said they needed a score, but a touchdown would be preferable for them. Pass caught by Derek Brown, stays in play inside the 5. and under a half a minute remaining. And now the Saints will call their last timeout as they are inside the 5-yard line. Coming up on the Dockers halftime, Terry, Howie, and Jimmy will bring you highlights from today's early game and the first half of this game. And JB will interview Mike Tyson, who's fighting tonight on Fox. That's all coming up on the Dockers halftime. Mike Holmgren, whose team seemingly was on a roll. They had won 4 in a row before losing to Tampa Bay, and still do not have a wild card berth wrapped up. A win today would give it to them, but the Packers are looking to win the division, and the only way that could happen this weekend is if Green Bay would hold on to their lead and win, and the Lions would lose to Jacksonville or tie. So may have to go to the last week of the season, probably will. 2nd and 3 for Jim Mora. No playoffs for the 3rd straight year. Saints out of timeouts. Everett looking for a receiver. Has it. Touchdown. Torrance Small. He has been the big target on this drive, and the Saints get their score. 4-yard pass to Small. And his 4th touchdown catch of the year.
This whole drive was Jim Everett. I mean, Jim Everett, all of a sudden, he just got turned on. And Torrance Small was the guy who really flipped the switch. And they had that big, after he was sacked, they had 2nd and 16. Torrance Small comes up with a big play, give him the 1st down. And then Everett just worked his magic right down the field.
Doug Bryan on for the extra point, and the kick is good. Jim Everett on this drive was 7 for 7 for 79 yards, and the Packers lead has been cut to 28-14. There are Everett's game numbers so far. And again, want to remind you, we have a big day of football tomorrow, an NFL doubleheader on Fox. Most of you will see the Cardinals and Eagles. Buddy Ryan going back to his own stomping grounds, and the Eagles will try to keep that great momentum going. 2nd game, the Giants and the Cowboys, all eyes on the shaky Cowboys right now. It's the 2nd half of our Fox NFL doubleheader tomorrow.
You know, when you watch the Dallas Cowboys, the one thing that I noticed is that I don't think Troy Aikman is right. I mean, I know he's beat up, and they're saying, you know, he has a calf injury and all that stuff. He just does not look like the same Troy Aikman. And knowing the kind of toughness that he has, I would say he's probably banged up pretty good.
I think he's banged up, and I think he's not all that happy with the leadership and the style. Barry Switzer gets a lot of attacks, of course, for decisions, but I wonder how Troy Aikman feels about it.
Well, you want to know something? They knew that going in. See, they already had a whole year under their belt of Barry Switzer, so they know what to expect. And so, you know, you take that decision last week, yeah, that's going to happen. I mean, so they make the decision, you move on. The players themselves still have to come down. I said this a few weeks ago, and I'll say it again. Sometimes you've got to overcome coaching. I mean, and when you have as many great players that they have on that team, I mean, Michael Irvin, Troy Aikman, Emmitt Smith, Larry Allen inside, and they have the experience in that offensive line, you got to overcome some decisions. And if they are the kind of team that they think they are, and most people believe that they're capable of being, you just have to go out and play.
Doug Bryan kicking off with 19 seconds on the clock. Short end over end. And Antonio Freeman carries about 4 Saints with him to the New Orleans 45-yard line. And lo and behold, the Packers have a chance to get more points. That was a 30-yard return.
Boy, with 13 seconds left, you have 2 timeouts. You can easily make 2 plays here and kick a field goal. Piece of cake.
That was a bad kickoff.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was designed to be short so that you could get better coverage. But what happened was Antonio Freeman just took a short kick and blew it right up the middle. And where was your coverage? So it just backfired on you.
There's Chris Jackie, who missed a 45-yarder that could have given the Pack the win last week against Tampa Bay in regulation. First down, Favre's pass is dropped by Freeman.
Well, that time Antonio Freeman gave the old alligator arms. because Tyrone Hughes was sitting right there. Ball coming, Tyrone Hughes coming, arms get a little bit shorter.
There's a report of an injured St. Mario Bates, who is their leading running back, has a bruised jaw, and they're going to take a look at that at halftime. 9 seconds remaining in the first half, 2nd and 10.
And he's going to work this one down the field. He's going to pick up a good 20 yards right here.
He's got Ingram, who dropped it. Mark Ingram had it and should have held on to it. And Tyrone Leggett put a pretty good hit on Ingram.
Well, that's the second ball that's been thrown to Ingram. It's the second one that's been dropped. First one hit him in the hands. Second one hit him in the chest. Both of those balls have to be caught.
And Brooks has dropped a couple today. So despite those drops, Favre with 4 touchdown passes, and Brooks has caught 2 of them. They'll send 3 wide receivers wide right now on 3rd and 10, 5 seconds on the clock.
He's got to throw this one into the end zone.
It'll never get off, and time runs out, and Wayne Martin picks up his 2nd sack of the game, and that'll give him 13 on the season. And that's the end of the first half with the score: the Packers 28 and the Saints 14. Stay tuned for the Dockers halftime as this Fox NFL special continues after these messages from your local Fox station.
Halftime is brought to you by Dockers Khakis, proud makers of nice pants.
All right, welcome back, everyone. I'm Terry Bradshaw in our Hollywood studios. Joining me, Jimmy Johnson, Howie Long, and, of course, first half look. Let's take a look at the Packers. Brett Favre, hottest quarterback in the National Football League, 19 yards. Anthony Morgan, safety can't get over. Green Bay up by 7. Jim Moore knows he's in trouble. Back comes Favre again. Play action to safety. Comes up, fights on it. Brooks, 40-yard down, 21-7, Pat. Now, Jim Everett trying to rally the Saints. Those deep corner of the end zone. Craig Newsome is there to make the interception. The Packers lead at halftime, 28-14. Brett Favre with 4 touchdown passes. Earlier today, Cordell Stewart and the Pittsburgh Steelers trying to continue their winning ways on this day, 7-game winning streak. 22-yard pitch out, a 22-yard touchdown run. Breaks the tackle at the 5. Steelers up 24-12. Curtis Martin out of the backfield. Linebackers drop deep. He takes a pass from Bledsoe. Breaks tackle, scoots 22 yards. Go for 2. Dave Megan makes the catch. It's 27 all until this 62-yard Neil O'Donnell to Ernie Mills touchdown pass. This sets it up. Steelers go on to win this football game 41-27 and clinch a first-round bye. Jimmy, I got to come right to you now. The Steelers, although they scored a lot of points, would be a little bit of concern perhaps that their defense did not play as well as you'd want them to play, getting ready for the playoffs.
Well, the defense gave up 439 yards today. They did score a couple of times, but you look back in the early part of the season when this team was 3-4, Bill Cowher and offensive coordinator Ron Earhart changed the personality of this offense. A year ago, they ran the ball 54% of the time. Now, after this game today, they are throwing it 57% of the time. They're wide open offense. They're using Cordell Stewart. That's why one reason why they have an 8-game winning streak.
You know, when getting ready for the playoffs, you talk about the Green Bay Packers. You got to talk about Brett Favre. My God, 4 touchdown passes, Howie.
How do you spell MVP? 4,000 yards already on the year, 4 TDs today, 36 on the year. The first quarterback to throw that many TDs since Dan Marino in 1986 with 44. We said that they'd go after Jimmy Spencer today. They did with Robert Brooks. He has his 8th 100-yard game, breaking another guy who played there by the name of Sterling Sharp's record for the club.
Well, speaking of records, let's talk. Our James Brown is in Philadelphia tonight for the Buster Mathis Jr. Mike Tyson fight, and James Brown sat down with Mike Tyson.
Back in the ring after a 4-year layoff, were there any doubts in your mind that you still had the tools, the goods to be able to deliver strong?
I didn't have any doubt. It's just that I knew I could do well. I just knew I could do well. Even in my worst night, I knew I could do well. I was just worried about what people would think, and I was caught up in that scenario. You know what I mean? People was throwing a lot of negative vibes, so that's why I shut everything out, and I just concentrated on doing what I had to do. And all the fanfare and all the crazy, they made a big thing about the publicity about the fight. It got me a little nervous.
How have you become a different person?
Well, you know, I'm not totally, as they say in the rehabilitation program, I'm not totally saved as far as my deeds and concern in life. You know, good or bad, but you know what I mean? I'm on the road. I didn't stray away yet.
But what's kept you on the straight and narrow thus far?
There's people that I see that was a part of that environment that I was once, you know what I mean, a brotherhood of, and I still love them and have respect for them, but they have to understand that that's just wasn't healthy for me. You know what I mean? It's probably good for them. I was too extreme in that world. You know what I mean? I couldn't handle it.
Will all of this make you a better fighter?
Well, I don't necessarily about a better fight. I used to know when I fought Peter McNeil, that's the first time in my whole career I ever been to a fight and never had to say, well, let me stop drinking because now it's time to train. That's the first time in my life I went through the whole training period. I went through the whole thing. I trained for a fight without ever having to drink. First time in my life.
How has being a Muslim changed your life? I mean, we've seen and heard you, but how has it changed your life?
I don't see the change, but they see the change. I see people that have been out and they said, I remember a long time ago, I met you 6 years ago. I like the way you are now. Stay this way. You know what I mean? Because instead of going to a club and just being nice and humble and just watching people and talking and having conversations, social, I would go and want to destroy the club. You know what I mean? I used to go and destroy the club. So I take the club, I thought I owned the club. I'm ready to destroy it. And, you know, I'm young, so I thought, whatever it costs, I'll pay for it. So it was just crazy. But the fact is, it just gave me insight on just humanity and the way I want to be treated.
Don't forget tonight, 8 o'clock Eastern Time, 5 o'clock Pacific Time, Tyson Mathis Jr. will be back to the New Orleans Superdome right after this.
Packers lead the Saints 28-14 in a big first half for Brett Favre with 4 touchdown passes and Robert Brooks, who caught 2 TD passes, and will return to the Superdome for the start of the second half after these messages from your local Fox station. Saints with a late touchdown cut the Packer lead to 28-14 at halftime as the Packers looking for a win that'll get them into the playoffs. And I guess one of the big questions would be, besides the 49ers and the Cowboys, Matt, the Packers were talked about as a team that could break through to maybe challenge one of these teams in postseason. Where do you think Green Bay is, and who could be a team?
Well, I think Green Bay can take that next step. But in order for them to take that step, they've got to be able to stop a running game, a consistent running game. And really, whenever they've turned in up a game against Dallas, they've never been able to stop Emmitt Smith. And until they can do that, they're going to have a tough time. But I think they're a better offense now than they've been. And I think with Favre having the kind of year he's having, that they have a chance.
And of course, Detroit, you'd have to say, certainly has a chance. No one has been able to stop them. Right now, the Cowboys, Packers, and 49ers lead their respective divisions, although Green Bay hasn't wrapped it up yet. Philadelphia, Atlanta, and Detroit are the leaders.
Philadelphia plays good defense, but their offense is sporadic. Atlanta plays good offense and has no defense. Detroit has played great offense, and defensively, they've really started to pick it up. Minnesota is playing good offense, and defense is solid. St. Louis and Chicago, I think, are slipping. So of those teams, you'd have to look at Green Bay, and then I think you have to go look at Detroit. And if Detroit can have any kind of consistency on their defense, they got themselves a shot because they're going to score some points.
Well, no one has been able to stop the Detroit Lions as of late, with Sanders and those 3 wide receivers, including Johnny Morton. Craig Henry kicking off to start the second half. Tyrone Hughes to return for the Saints from his goal line. And Hughes is hit at the 27-yard line by Bernardo Harris. So Jim Everett picking up hopefully where he left off. What's amazing about looking at the halftime statistics is that they're relatively even. You wouldn't know one team is up by 2 touchdowns as you look at the numbers.
Well, and I think what made these numbers for the Saints was right before the half. And I think the way they played right before the half with Jim Everett opening it up a little bit is what they've got to do now, because you're still down by 2 touchdowns, and they were throwing the ball extremely well. So I say, go ahead and use the hot hand that Everett has.
And this may be a free play. Penalty marker down, and Wesley Walls on the receiving end, and it apparently is against the Green Bay Packers, an 18-yard pickup. George Teague making the tackle, so a pretty sharp start for the Saints.
Offside, 98 defense, penalty decline.
Gabe Wilkins.
First down.
And the Saints took advantage.
Well, in order to have the hot hand, you have to be able to protect the passer. And when Everett is getting this kind of protection, you see Dombrowski working inside there. Willie Rofe working well inside. When he has that much time, you can pick apart his own.
I'll get it.
It looks like Carl Smith is saying the same thing that we're saying. Go with the hot hand in the second half. Just go out and throw the football.
First down on the Saints 45. Haynes goes in motion. Here's Ray Zellers, and he's going to lose some yardage. And a fine play by Sean Jones. And perhaps a loss of 1. We'll call it no gain. Here's Reggie White returning to the game. Remember, on Tuesday, he was ruled out for the rest of the season and ready to undergo hamstring surgery scheduled for tomorrow. He worked out on the Cybex machine with the trainer of the Green Bay Packers. Personal trainer, and here he is. 2nd and 10, and here is Derek Brown. And it'll be 3rd down and long after a gain of about 2.
Yeah, there was one of the rare instances when they did run right at Reggie White. And you can see at the result why most teams don't. See, he's so powerful. I mean, he just takes Cooper 71 and stuffs him in the hole and throws him right into the running back, Brown. And so when you run the ball with Reggie White on the field, you usually run it away from him because of plays like that.
3rd down and 8. Torrance Small goes out to the right. He was the leading receiver for the Saints in the first half. Now he comes in motion. Everett has time, going up for Quinn Early, and Early makes a fine play and had to come back for the ball at the 20-yard line. Good alert play by Quinn Early with Teague bringing him down a gain of 33.
Well, remember we said, how the heck do you handle Reggie White? Well, what they do is they keep a tight end in. And so Reggie White says, look, let me get rid of the first level. And then he has to go into the second one. Cooper's sitting there for him. And because they get that blocked, they have the time to be able to run right through the safety. Quinn Early just goes by Teague and comes up with the play.
Saints are threatening, trailing by 2 touchdowns. First down on the Packer 19. Here's a draw play to Derek Brown, trying to go outside. Flag is down. And Brown is hit at the 16-yard line by Butler and Evans. Gain of 3, but the penalty.
Usually when the flag comes from that side, it's a hold on the tight end.
Ball is holding, according to Gordon McCarter.
Holding, number 77, offense, 10-yard penalty, repeat, first down.
This time they got Willie Rofe, number 77, in man on a line of scrimmage, and he's going to be working on Sean Jones. So Sean Jones stands him up, and then as he tries to get off, Rofe just uses the lower body and kind of tackles him.
Rofe has struggled a bit today. He's heading for the Pro Bowl for the 2nd straight year.
I think he struggled this year, to be honest with you. I don't think he's had a tremendous year. I just think he maybe had a better year than other tackles, but it's not been outstanding.
On 1st and 20, Ray Zellers tests the middle of the line and a couple of yards. Rofe and Eric Allen made the Pro Bowl for the New Orleans Saints. And how much does reputation go into a factor in teams and players making the Pro Bowl?
I think when you look at both of these names, you have to bring reputation up, because I don't think Eric Allen had an outstanding year also. And Willie Rofe didn't have a typical Willie Rofe year. And so I think what happened, in fact, I know, guys look at the ballot and say, who made it last year? How did he play? Did he play terrible? No, put him back in.
Out of the shotgun on 2nd and 17. Pass intended for Small, and that will bring up 3rd down. Doug Evans was covering downfield.
I think the one consistent guy for this New Orleans Saint offensive line, probably had the most consistent year, is Jim Dombrowski, number 72, their guard. When you talk to the Saint coaches, they say Dombrowski probably had the best year of any of our linemen.
He's a former hockey player, grew up in Buffalo. Played hockey until his senior year.
The big hockey player.
3rd down and 17. Pressure on Everett, swings it out, and it was a tough play for Derek Brown to make, with the defenders Wayne Simmons coming on over and shaking his head no as he goes to the sideline.
Well, McCollum, number 67, going to set inside. Now, all they do is they take Reggie White, they put him over, and he goes with the bull rush. And so what the Packer defense and their staff is doing is saying they're looking for a weak link. And you put Reggie White on that weak link. In this instance, it's a rookie, and you just try to intimidate him with power.
44-yard attempt for Doug Bryan. He's got Wilmsmeyer holding and Wesley Walls, the center. this kick will be no good, off to the left. So 3 former 49ers hooking up, and frustrated head coach Jim Mora looks on as the Packers retain their 2-touchdown lead.
This Fox NFL special is brought to you by the new Dodge. We're thinking ahead. By Remington's Triple Foil, the world's only shaver with 3 micro screens. If you can grow it, we can shave it. By Sega Saturn, it's a little too real and a little too much fun. And by Digital Equipment Corporation. Digital, whatever it takes.
Dick Stockton and Matt Millen back at the Superdome as the Saints with an impressive drive but came up with nothing as the field goal was missed. Now the Packers take over on the 34-yard line. First back through is William Henderson for a couple.
See the missed field goal. This guy is Wesley Walls, San Francisco. Then this is Klaus Wilmsmeyer, San Francisco. And then the kicker is Brian, all former San Francisco guys. You got to think, if they'd have done it right the first time, they wouldn't be kicking in New Orleans. And then you got to think, look at Jim Mora, and you talk about body English. You can put all the spin you want on it, and it doesn't still make it good.
2nd down and 7. And the pass underneath is complete to Morgan. That'll bring up 3rd and about 4 or 5. Pretty impressive first half for Brett Favre as he completed 12 of 18 for 203 yards and 4 touchdown passes. His career high was set at Lambeau Field against the Bears when he threw for 5 touchdown passes on November the 12th. And he won away from that number.
Well, and he's able to throw the way he's throwing today because he's getting some nice protection. They're really doing a good job of taking care of Ronaldo Turnbull. Wayne Martin had 2 sacks in the first half. You're going to have to stop him in the second.
3rd and 4. Far pass and a fine catch by Robert Brooks. And he runs out of bounds after getting the first down. So Brooks over 100 yards and 2 touchdown receptions on the day, picks up 13.
Well, when you talk about offensive line play, you talk about consistency. And when you look at the Packer offensive line, Kenny Rutgers 75 has been the most consistent. Today he's been having an outstanding game against a guy who the last time he played against him, Ronaldo Turnbull, had a big day. You're blocking that well and you're giving that much time for Favre, he's going to do this kind of thing to you.
Packers with a first down in Saints territory. Edgar Bennett, and a terrific play made by Brian Jones, the middle linebacker, who just knifed through.
And they got it on the backside because on the front side, Rutgers had a really nice block on Turnbull. You see Kenny Rutgers, a few things really stand out to you. First and foremost, this guy has unbelievable technique. I mean, it is just textbook. And he never makes mistakes. He's not, I mean, he's a cerebral guy. The way to play him, you got to attack him. Be very physical with him because that's the one area that he's not strong.
And one of those big USC offensive linemen, Mark Shimura, gets by a missed tackler and picks up another first down to the 35-yard line. Sean Lumpkin making the play. So old reliable tight end, Mark Shimura.
And this time, he has the time and there's good coverage. And then he buys some extra time with his feet. This is what really sets Brett Favre apart. And the difference in him now, as opposed to 3 years ago, before he ran to ran. Now he runs to throw.
Shimura only 1 catch last week. He's got 5 already today. From the 35-yard line. Favre drills it incomplete, going to Keith Jackson that time, and Lumpkin, the strong safety, defending.
I talked about Kenny Rutgers and his technique. I want you to watch. This is textbook stuff. Watch it. You see his inside foot is always set high. Then his back leg he always kicks, and then his hands are always punching. That is just perfect stuff. If you're going to teach a young offensive tackle, you show him tapes of Kenny Rutgers.
He has been through the bad times and now the good times in all the years, the 11 years he's been with Green Bay. 2nd down and 10. Here's Edgar Bennett looking for running room, and he is tackled at the 30-yard line, and that will bring up 3rd down and 5. Richard Harvey, the linebacker.
You know, it's interesting talking to Kenny Rutgers. He walked into our meeting last night, and right away he had some scruff on his face, you know, that goatee look. I said, what's with the look? He said, you know, I came home one night, my little boy Matthew looked at me and says, you know, Dad, you look too nice. You have to look a little meaner when you play football. And he thought about it, he said, you know what, you're right. So he grew that goatee in.
His wife didn't want him to, but his youngster said go ahead and grow it. 3rd and 5, pressure from the safety, and Favre's pass nearly picked off by Jimmy Spencer, intended for Anthony Morgan.
That is a nice job of Morgan right there. See how Morgan put his hand in at the end, turned into a defender?
There's a penalty marker back around the line of scrimmage. And the flag apparently is against the Packers.
That was a poor decision actually by Brett Favre. That safety was hanging over the top, and he hung that ball a little bit up too much.
Holding. 72 offense, penalty accepted, 10 yards. Repeat, 3rd down.
Earl Dotson holding, and they'll move it back to the 40. Out of field goal range right now for Chris Jackie.
It's going to set up about a 3rd and 15.
Tell you, the Saints, this is a defensive stand they'd want to make after controlling the ball and not getting any points. They'd like to keep it at 2 touchdowns. 4 wide receivers in the game for Green Bay. Favre's pass underneath to Morgan, and he'll be shy of the 1st down by 4 yards as Pahokoa and Spencer combine to make the tackle. And they're going to bring on now Chris Jackie to try a field goal.
And that'll be from about 47 yards.
Jackie last week missed a 45-yard field goal with seconds remaining that would have given the Packers the win in regulation. They lost to Tampa Bay in overtime. He had missed 2 out of 3 in that game, so he's looking to get his confidence back. 47-yard attempt coming up for Jackie. Jackie's kick is good. Jackie was 4 for 4 2 years ago when the Packers beat the Saints, and he connects here to give the Packers a 31-14 lead. Here in this 3rd quarter, the Saints with a good drive but missed the field goal. And the Packers connecting on a 47-yard field goal by Chris Jackie to raise their lead now to 31-14. 6th time this year the Packers have scored 30 or more points in a game. Hendrick with a low kick. Tyrone Hughes on a bounce. And Hughes, he can put excitement into the crowd. Dive shy of the 30-yard line. Timeout. We'll be back to the Superdome after this. They were coming back to Earth for Christmas when disaster struck. Now they've got no power, no weapons, and only a miracle can save them. Don't miss a brand new episode of Space Above and Beyond tomorrow at 7, 6 Central on Fox.
Heck, if they need a miracle, I know the guy they should go see. Reggie White.
Not this guy.
Not that guy. Heck, look at that guy. At one point today, he said, all right, I look good, let's go. Boy, was he wrong.
And it's not even Mardi Gras time, Matt. But that guy has uplifted the spirits of his entire team. He's taken some kidding from people like Jim McMahon, but I tell you, this team is so pleased to have big number 92 out there. 6 defensive backs for the Packers, anticipating a passing attack by Jim Everett. Everett throwing on 1st down, overthrows Irv Smith, and a flag is down. Downfield, Pryor was covering the tight end. Fritz Shermer, the defensive coordinator. The penalty will be against the Packers as White walks off the field.
Holding. Number 39 defense. 5 yards. Automatic 1st down.
Pryor was holding Irv Smith.
I got to tell you, the way that Fritz Shermer and Mike Holmgren are using Reggie White today is very well. I mean, it's an admirable job because they're just spotting him, and they're giving their defense a boost when they need it. and they're not overusing him.
First down on the 34, and the pitch to Derek Brown. Trying to go off the left side, and a fine play by Wayne Simmons. He had a terrific first half of this season.
Yeah, that is a real nice job of Simmons. He just ran that thing right through. You can see Jim Everett, when he's had time, he's been able to pick people apart. The problem is, you can see he's sacked once, but they've hurried him a few times. And the way they've done it is they've attacked with power to the right side. McCollum's been having a tough time. You saw Reggie White, where he just went with the power move on it. When they've been able to get pressure on Everett, they've been able to force some bad throws.
Second down and 8. There's the pressure again, and the pass caught underneath. And now they
that's a nice play by Lee. Did you see Leroy Butler?
I did.
I mean, that's coaching film right there. I mean, you take this right here, you're going to take this play and you put it in a coaching clinic. You go in, because what Leroy Butler does is he knows he has the tackle, and then he's aware of the tackle and he strips the ball out. This is something that's practiced all the time. Watch, there's the tackle. Now watch the hand. Pull it out. That's a great effort.
Butler had an interception last week, had 7 solo tackles, did just about everything in the secondary for the Packers. In a losing cause. Third down and 8. Reggie White is back in there. The left side of the line, is that Rofe? That might have moved. Let's check and see which one.
Ball start before the snap. 67 offense. 5 yards, still third down.
Right guard, Andy McCullum.
Andy McCullum gets put in there, and they put a big old guy across from him. And if he can't get any help, he has a tough time. He tries to set quick, but he doesn't have enough of an anchor to sit on some of the size that they have. And now Reggie White is going to be moved over him again.
3rd and 13. Overthrowing, threw it away. Derek Brown was the intended receiver, and once again hurries on Everett.
They just go with the pressure up. This time Reggie White's going to try to take it to the outside. Sean Jones coming off. You see what they've done right here. Nice job by Sean Jones on the arm under. And he just takes Willie Rofe and runs him right into Everett. Sean Jones is playing a heck of a football game today.
And he has come on big, and with White in there, it's pretty good bookends you've got. Wilmsmeyer with a kick. Antonio Freeman picking it up, and he is down at the 33-yard line. So a timeout with 5:28 remaining in the third quarter with the Packers in front. Homecoming for Brett Favre, and he has responded with 4 touchdown passes as his family and friends with a private box that came from Kill, Mississippi.
That's a good one. Farfordoogan, MVP.
Pretty good, yes. And of course, MVP is a strong possibility for Brett Favre, who is going to be the starting quarterback for the NFC in the Pro Bowl. First down on the 33. Favre finds Edgar Bennett wide open down the sideline. And a big gain for Bennett as he is out of bounds at the 34-yard line.
And he picked up another 15 yards because of Robert Brooks blocking. Now watch Favre. Again, he's going to buy some time. He goes to his right. Nothing's there. This is the difference in Favre. Remember I told you he takes off. One of them is he runs to throws. And the other thing is he really knows the offense very well. He knows where his outlets are. He knows where his 4th receiver is. This is reminiscent of Montana. Montana was that way. He'd know where everybody was on the field.
Edgar Bennett, as Matt mentioned, versatile, can catch, run, and block. Pack on the 33 of the Saints. And here's Edgar Bennett up the middle with a hard run. Brian Jones with the stop. And right now, for McDonald's game break, let's return to Terry Bradshaw in our Hollywood studio.
Dick, earlier today, Steelers playing host to the Patriots with 22 seconds left in the first half. Ray Seals strips the ball from Bledsoe, scooped up by Brinston Buckner. He goes 46 yards for a touchdown. Steelers go on to win 41-27. Back to Dick and Matt.
Got to give a lot of credit to Bill Cowher. They lost Rod Woodson. O'Donnell was down for a while, and now they're the hottest team in the AFC.
Took them a while to figure out what they are, but now that they've got it figured out, they're playing very, very well.
Pitch is to Edgar Bennett. Looking for running room, but nothing there. And that'll bring up 3rd down and short. Jones and Harvey, pair of linebackers, in on the play for the Saints. We wind down to 4 minutes remaining in the 3rd quarter.
You know, one of the problems with the Saints at the beginning of the season was in their linebackers, because they switched over from the 3-4 to the 4-3, and then they really didn't have the guy who gave them leadership nor understand how to play the middle of that defense. They went with Fields, the rookie, and it kind of backfired on them. It's taken them a while to straighten it out.
Freeman in motion on 3rd and 3, and the pass is out to Freeman, who came back and has the 1st down inside the 20-yard line with Jimmy Spencer on the coverage. So the Packers continue to threaten here, leading 31-14, and Brett Favre, who's trying to match his career and Packer high of 5 touchdown passes in a game. He's got 4.
And when you look at that Saint defense, they're a few players away. I mean, they've got to get another corner. Then they need a safety who can flat out run, and they need another linebacker. They can get those pieces to the puzzle. They're on the right track.
Edgar Bennett on the sweep, and the first man to hit him was Sean Lumpkin. New Orleans Saints, who won 12 games in '92 and have struggled since then.
You know, the one guy who has not struggled since they've given him a chance has been Antonio Freeman, number 86. And this is a player who I don't think they really realized what they had with him. I mean, he's just getting better and better the more they play him. He really started to excel in the kickoff return game. You saw it today. He's had a couple of big returns. And then when they throw him the football, it seems like good things always happen when the ball's in this kid's hands.
This is a team that always depended on one man, Sterling Sharp, but they've been able to spread it out to a lot of different receivers. 2nd and 7. And the pass is tipped. And it was Rufus Porter downfield. And that will bring up
a nice job by Rufus Porter. He gets his drop, and then because Favre has the gun, Favre knows that he's going to try to force it in. And did you see how Rufus Porter changed his direction? And that's good linebacker play. You go in one way, you can put the brakes on and come back the other way, get your hand in there.
3rd and 7. There is Porter. Favre on the screen to Edgar Bennett. And Bennett's going to get the 1st down, and one of the Packers lost his helmet.
It's Aaron Taylor, 73. Lost his head over that play.
There's a guy who has come on to play a solid offensive line for the Packers.
Oh, yeah, and you can see, you know, he just did a very nice job. You see Harvey just get his hand in his face and just rips that helmet right off. But watch Taylor. You think he's going to stop? No way. He just keeps on blocking him, whether his head is on or off. And then at the end of the play, he didn't duck or anything. Heck, he was looking around to see what was going on.
That helmet got kicked around a little bit.
Lucky his head wasn't in it.
1st and goal from the 6-yard line. Bennett to the 4.
Now, Aaron Taylor, really, in that offensive line at left guard, has been a big reason why this offense has gotten better and better. At the beginning of the season, you know, he was a rookie last year. Blew out his knee and missed his entire rookie year. Then he comes back, and it usually takes a year for a knee to come around. And at the beginning of the season, he was so excited he'd get himself in trouble because he'd get overextended. And as the season's gone on, he's settled into what his game is. I think his best days obviously are all ahead of him. He has a chance to be something special.
2nd down and goal from the 4. Here's Bennett. And no gain on the play. You know, and Aaron Taylor is also a graduate of that powerful De La Salle High School in Concord, California. Doug Bryan also is there, and they've done great work out there in Northern California.
You know, you look at this Saint defense, you see they were having problems stopping the run early in the year. And then you look over there and you see Pig Goff. And, you know, and Pig is down to like 270. And whenever your Pig is under 300, you know you're going to have problems stopping the run.
Jim Morris said that Pig was never a 300.
Well, then he shouldn't be called Pig. But whenever your pig is light, it's not good for you.
3rd and goal from the 3-yard line on a rollout. Favre's pass incomplete with 16 seconds remaining in the 3rd quarter. So a terrific stand by the Saints on 1st and goal, and Chris Jackie will come in, and an injured Shane Pahukoa, the free safety. And remember, he was thrust into action when the regular free safety Vince Buck went down with a broken leg a couple of weeks ago. We'll take a timeout with 15 seconds to go in the 3rd quarter. Working on Shane Pahukoa's right leg, and right with him is Vince Buck, who's on crutches with the broken leg. So the safeties are hurting. Meanwhile, Chris Jackie attempting a 21-yard field goal with Craig Hentrick holding. Jackie with a 47-yarder earlier here in the 3rd quarter. And the kick is through, and the Packers now lead by 20 points, 34-14, and slow getting up is Mark Shimura after that kick. But the Packers now with 34 points, and 12 seconds remain in the 3rd quarter.
See Mark Shimura, you're wondering what the heck he's doing there. Well, he's the snapper. He's going to be an all-pro tight end, and he also snaps for extra points and field goals, and sometimes punts. Todd Christensen used to do that. He used to snap, and then once,
hard to believe.
Well, and he was very good at it. And then when he finally became an all-pro tight end, all of a sudden he didn't snap anymore.
Doubleheader action tomorrow on Fox. The Eagles entertain the Arizona Cardinals, who could be pesky. Most of you will see that early game. There's the rest of the lineup, and all the games have meaning in the NFC playoffs. Second half, it'll be the Giants against the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys trounced the Giants in a shutout in the opening game of the season on a Monday night at Giant Stadium. So this is the return. Aaron Taylor with his head on straight on the sideline. He doesn't need a helmet.
I think he just sticks that big old dome right in the middle of that. Does a good job blocking.
Craig Hentrick kicking, and Tyrone Hughes coming out of the end zone. And he hits Thomason. Thomason has made several tackles today on special teams for the Packers.
You saw Pahukoa get hurt.
And that is the end of the 3rd quarter with the score. The Packers 34, the Saints 14, and this Fox NFL special will continue after these messages from your local Fox station.
You see they're looking at the leg of Shane Pahukoa, number 35, the defensive back. You wonder how he got hurt. Watch him right down here. They're playing the defense. The ball comes, it's incomplete. He's so happy he starts jumping up and down. He's in great shape, great shape. All of a sudden, yikes, I just pulled something. And so all he did was he celebrated right into an injury.
That's embarrassing. So hopefully if Pahukoa will come in, Dean Kleinschmidt, the trainer working with him. Saints taking over. Lee DeRamus, a rookie from Wisconsin, and Torrance Small are the 2 wide receivers, along with Quinn Early. First down at the 24. And on a reverse, Torrance Small end around. Didn't fool the Packers much. A sea of white jerseys led by Keith Crawford, Sean Jones, and Doug Evans.
Hey, Crawford made the tackle. Sean Jones made the play. Because Sean Jones held the discipline of that defense and made him run up the field, Crawford was able to come up and make the tackle.
Second play of the 4th quarter. 34-14, the Packers. Second down and 9. Quick toss, and it's complete to DeRamus, the rookie, where they've been keeping him, and DeRamus skeets his way into Packer territory, and first down at the 48 and a gain of 27.
Nice effort by DeRamus. And really, this is where you can really take advantage of the Green Bay Packers, because I don't think they tackle very well in the secondary. In fact, I know they don't. When they get into trouble, it's because they miss all those tackles. When you come up to make a play like that, you don't go for the big hit. You go up just to get the guy down. That's the object of a tackle.
That's hurt him against the Lions, the Buccaneers, and on that play. First down on the 48-yard line. Pass pass is caught by DeRamus. Short of the first down, but not by much. Keith Crawford on the stop, a gain of 9.
And part of that big matchup we were talking about, Willie Rofe and Sean Jones. Boy, it's a physical battle. Sean Jones has decided to go with a lot of physical headbutting and then arm unders. And I think that's the way you attack Willie Rofe. Not consistently, but you get him thinking about power, and then you can beat him with the move.
2nd and 1. Everett overthrows Torrance Small. Everett has good size at quarterback and is able to look over the rush to find a receiver downfield. Everett in the 4th quarter, 10 touchdowns and over 1,000 yards. Both of those numbers are best in the NFL.
And I think when you watch Willie Rofe, you can see why he's voted into the Pro Bowl. I mean, he's got a lot of great skills. But where he really needs to get better is he's got to get stronger at the point. I said that 2 years ago, and I still feel the same way.
3rd and 1. And Mario Bates, who had a bruised jaw, suffered right before halftime, picks up enough for a first down for the Saints, who are trailing 34-14. 1 touchdown for New Orleans today. 2 touchdowns. Ray Zellers with a 2-yard run, and then Everett hit Torrance Small. He's got DeRamus. That's 3 catches for the rookie on this series. Keith Crawford wrestled him out of bounds.
You know, you watch the Saints when they're throwing the ball around like this, and they're having all that success. You wonder why they didn't go to it the whole game long. And now you're down by 20 points. And really, they get a score here. You got enough time to get right back in this thing. But you have to be able to open it up in the offense and do it.
That's Carl Smith, who runs the offense for Jim Mora. 2nd down and 2. This time, Quinn Early and DeRamus, the rookie, come out to the right. And the draw play to Mario Bates. And Bates appears to be short of the first down, and it's Craig Newsom who came up from the secondary to make a play. That'll make it 3rd and about a yard. Saints line up quickly. Quarterback sneak. He got almost 5 yards, did Jim Everett, on that quarterback sneak. That's rare that you get that much. Picked up 7, actually.
Well, they're going to the hurry-up mode. And all they do is they just snap this thing quick, and Everett just gets behind the guard and just runs right up the field. Really catches the Packers not being ready.
First down at the 20. Everett going for all of it. And Torrance Small was the intended receiver, but well covered in the end zone by several Packers, including Craig Newsom.
Hey. And this is what Everett does. See, Everett sees it all the way. You know, when I watch Jim Everett throw, he throws some great deep out balls, but his balls are never ducks. He always throws a tight spiral.
Matt LaBounty has replaced Sean Jones at defensive end. LaBounty had replaced Reggie White last week. 2nd and 10. Pass is intercepted. Bad pass by Everett.
That's coming back. Flag is down.
And it is picked off, but a penalty down. And Doug Evans made the interception, but John Yurkovich is picking up. Yep. Offside called against the Packers, nullifies the interception.
Everett went with the hard count. And when he got the hard count, he got those tackles.
Offside, defense, middleman, 5 yards, repeat 2nd down.
Always eliminate the middleman.
That's what they say.
The middleman jumped offside, gives the Saints a break here. 2nd and 5. Here comes the blitz. Boy, Fritz Shurmur doesn't usually blitz, although that's the territory and where he usually unleashes it. And he was sending everybody.
Now, it used to be in the old days.
False start, 77 offense before the snap.
There you go.
5 yards, still second down.
So it used to be in the old days, once you got to the 25-yard line in, you automatically blitzed and you went man coverage. And then what happened was offenses started to run a lot of pick plays. And so to counter that, they went to a lot of zones. And now it's coming back full circle again. Everybody's playing zones down there, but when they do take their shot, it's right around in here in the 20-yard line. They'll take their shot with a safety blitz.
Second and 10.
What?
Everett's going to lose the ball. And the Saints recover. And it's Richard Cooper, the right tackle, who recovers the fumble.
Boy, Simmons came off that corner hard. Some nice speed working off the top. Watch, they show the blitz inside, and then they go with the zone outside. And then Simmons, all he does is he just works up the field on Cooper and knocks that ball out of there. Watch Jim Everett. Watch his eye. See, he sees the coverage developing. Now he sees the zone behind it, and as he's looking down the field, that's when Simmons hits him from behind.
Fourth sack for Wade Simmons this year. Third and 19. Everett completes the pass. And it's to Quinn Early, but way short. And what's been happening here is that the Packers are putting a lot of pressure on Everett, who's been throwing off his back foot the last several throws. And the pressure has paid off as it brings up fourth down.
I think you have to credit Fritz Shermer there. They did a really good job of keeping that Saint offense off balance. He went with some zones, then he went with a couple of blitzes, then he went with some zone blitzes, and he's still yelling. He's yelling over there. Somebody's not getting it right.
Doug Bryan missed a 44-yard field goal. This will be a 43-yard attempt. And this one is long enough. It's good, and Bryan connects 43 yards out. And the first points for the Saints in the second half as they trail now to the Packers 34-17.
This Fox NFL special is brought to you by Chevrolet Trucks, the most dependable, longest-lasting trucks on the road. By MasterCard, it's more than a credit card, it's smart money. By the Braun Oral-B Plaque Remover, clinically proven to clean better than a manual toothbrush. And by the Body Heat-activated Degree antiperspirant and deodorant.
Well, the Saints finally get on the scoreboard in the second half, but still trail by 17 points. There's plenty of time remaining. Wesley Walls. There was the scoring drive, and Bryan connected, and here he is, a short onside kick, a surprise. And Terry Mickens alertly had the good hands. Alert play by Terry Mickens. So that was a surprise to a lot of people other than Mickens. And there's Nolan Cromwell, the coach for the Green Bay Packers. Onside kicks, which have great anticipation, are rarely successful. 15% is the success rate. Not very good.
And usually they're at the end of the game when you have your hands team on and you're expecting it. This time they just tried to pull a fast one, but Mickens was very alert.
Shane Pahukoa, who was shaken up, celebrating, is back in there at safety for the Saints. First down, Packers on their 48-yard line. And the give is to Edgar Bennett. Nothing doing. And right now, for a McDonald's game break, let's again return to Terry Bradshaw at our Hollywood studio. Steve?
Nick, Emmitt Smith tries to get the Cowboys off and running as they play host to Rodney Hampton and the New York Giants. It all begins in the pregame show, noon Eastern. You'll get one of these regional games. Then that'll be followed by the Cowboys and the Giants at 4 o'clock. Now back to Dick and Matt.
Terry is a host, play-by-play guy. I mean, he should. What can't this man do?
Terry's having a good day.
Yeah.
Having a real big day. Oh, it was funny in the beginning. He said, heck, this is easy, JB.
Edgar Bennett goes wide right. And the pass underneath. And it's complete to Keith Jackson for a gain of about 8 yards. That's his first catch of the day. Jackson, who did not sign, and all of a sudden saw the Packers as a contending team and knew that he could be a free agent after this year, said, I'm going to show up, and he has.
Yeah, and everybody in Green Bay said, look, we finally got ourselves an all-pro tight end, and they were right. Mark Shimura.
Favre with 4 touchdown passes today, and he holds the Packer record that he set this November against Chicago.
I think this should probably be the last series for Brett Favre to be in this football game.
3rd and 2. And the pass is caught by Antonio Freeman for the first down inside the 40.
And Brett Favre today quietly has done what he knows he had to do. He knew he had to play well in order for this football team to win, and he's done that. I mean, he's thrown the 4 touchdown passes. He's made it look easy. And now I think it's time you let somebody else.
How about this guy?
Yeah, after this series. And there's one for you. Had Jim McMahon in a Packer uniform. I saw him before the game, and he said, Cleveland is a house in disarray. He said it's unbelievable.
First down running play to Edgar Bennett for a couple of yards. Richard Harvey on the tackle. Well, if Jim McMahon plays his cards right, he may get to play for every team in the NFC Central Division.
Yeah, this is his 8th team.
Well, he's been with Minnesota, Green Bay, Chicago. He hasn't been with Detroit or Tampa Bay yet.
Well, and you have to ask the question, why does he keep showing up at these different places? And I think there's a few reasons. First of all, he's extremely bright. He's a coach on the field. Secondly, he can still play, although not as a starter, but he gives you insurance as a backup. You know you're not going to have any excuses, and you're not going to have any mistakes. And the last guy who came in and made a mistake for the Green Bay Packers was T.J. Rubley, and he got fired.
Yeah, he made a bad mistake. He audibilized off of a play by Mike Holmgren. And it was just a matter of time, and Holmgren kept it inside and finally made the change. But Holmgren's pretty happy with that offense, and we saw Edgar Bennett on that last run. And Bennett, who is attempting to become the first 1,000-yard rusher since Turdell Middleton back in 1978, is 6 yards away from 1,000. First and 10 on the 23 of the Saints. Bennett up the middle, and Edgar Bennett has done it. He has gone over the 1,000-yard mark for the Green Bay Packers, and the first in, what, 17 years to do it.
And that sideline knew it immediately. I mean, the guys on the sideline put their hands up there screaming. They're happy for him. Edgar Bennett gets his 1,000 yards rushing. I think that's tremendous. And he wants that football in the worst way.
And look at the reception on the sideline. And the leader of defense, Reggie White, leads the parade.
Sean Jones, one of his good friends, and also manages his money for him.
So he's really happy because he sees those dollar signs going over 1,000. That's great for Edgar Bennett. You know, that's been one of the knocks about the Packer offense. They say, well, they've got, you know, the quarterback and they got the receivers, but they don't have a good running game. And he's dispelled that.
Well, they never say they don't have a good running back, because Edgar Bennett is a very good running back.
Second down and 1 on the 14-yard line. Bennett, for a couple, may have the first down. Rufus Porter defending on the play. Packers again with a win will wrap up at least a wild card berth in the playoffs. In order to win the division, the Packers would have to win and hope the Lions would lose tomorrow to Jacksonville or tie.
And they don't have an easy game next week. They got the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are the hottest team in all of football right now, and they're playing their best. And they're going to have them in Green Bay, where it should be nice and warm, balmy, I would say.
So the Lions still have hopes of capturing, because if the Lions and Packers end up tied, the Lions have the tiebreaker by virtue of a better division record, which is another reason why last week's loss to Tampa Bay really hurt the Packers. Short by that much. Dorsey Levens and William Henderson, the backs. Well, at least the Packers feel that they're back on track. That's one of the things we talked about at the beginning of this game after last week's rough outing against Tampa Bay.
Yeah, they had to get back in sync. And they had to get their quarterback back in sync.
The tight end is in sync.
Yes, he is.
Third down and about a foot. Dorsey Levens. First down, Packers.
Now, one of the guys that Brett Favre is going to miss next year is Steve Mariucci, the quarterback coach. Mariucci had just taken the head coaching job at Cal, and Favre is, Favre's happy for him on one hand, and on the other hand, he's worked very closely with him and really credits Mariucci. You can see him right here, with helping him become a better quarterback. I asked Mariucci about taking that job. Was it a tough decision? And he said, I was about to make the decision, and I was shoveling up my driveway to get the kids to school on time. And then he said, I just got done shoveling about 2 foot of snow, and as I got done, the plow came by and shoved 3 foot back onto the sidewalk. And I turned to my wife and said, let's take that Cal job.
He didn't have to write down pro and con on a legal pad after that.
He never got past one. Snow.
Timeout. Well, this could be Jim Mora's last home game as coach of the Saints. Rumored that he might be replaced. Talking with him, you get the feeling that that may be the situation, but he would like to stay. But one thing we know, Matt, is that Jim Mora wants to continue, and probably, I'm sure, will continue as a head coach in this league.
And he should, because it means something to him. He's still a good coach. In fact, he feels he's a better coach now than he was even 3 years ago.
Second down and 6 from the 7 following the timeout by the Saints. And Edgar Bennett dives inside the 5-yard line. He says the one thing he does better now than he ever did was handle players. He says, I'm more myself, and I don't mind what they think, that I'm comfortable with who I am. Saints have called another timeout. Back here at the Superdome along with Matt Millen, this is Dick Stockton. Saints have used their second timeout. They have 1 remaining, trailing 34-17. The Packers will have a 3rd down and 3. They can get a first down without scoring a touchdown. They are on the 4-yard line of New Orleans. Brett Favre to Edgar Bennett, tripped up, regains his footing, and nearly went over on his second effort. Great second effort try by Edgar Bennett, and he may have a first down.
That was a nice job by Edgar Bennett. He didn't hear a whistle. He got right back up. See, nobody tackled him. He just tripped.
J.J. McCleskey, who went in for Pahukoa, made the tackle, and we may have a measurement to see whether the Packers have a first down as the clock stops with 3:03 showing.
New Orleans.
And the Saints are using their 3rd and last timeout of the game.
Watch Edgar Bennett. He trips, and he hears no whistle, so he keeps on going. Listen to this. So no whistle, and he tripped, so a Saint never brought him down, so he has the presence to get right back up and keep on going.
It is 4th down and less than a yard. Mark Shimura suffered a bruised left knee, and he's not in there, and that's a coach's decision. With a 34-17 lead, it'll be 4th down and 1 from the 2. Keith Jackson and Jeff Thomason are the 2 tight ends in there, and there is Shimura, who undoubtedly taking the rest of the afternoon off, and there's not much to that. 4th and 1, and here is Bennett, and the Saints stop him. Israel Stanley, number 90, and New Orleans will take over on downs, and they've got something to feel good about with 2:58 on the clock. So the Saints will take over with 2:58 remaining, and Green Bay leading 34-17. Today's game was produced by Richard Zients and directed by Artie Kempner. The associate director was Michael Frank. Our broadcast associates, Eric Shanks and Eric Burak. And the executive producers of Fox Sports are Ed Gorin and David Hill. Thanks to our production and technical staff. for their work today. Saints are out of timeouts. They're on the 4-yard line. Jim Everett completes the pass to Quinn Early, and he stops the clock at 2:51 and gets the first down in the process. Well, Jim Everett certainly has enjoyed the last 2 years he's been at New Orleans, Matt, since what has been a nightmarish finish for him with the Rams, where he said they took a lot of his weapons away and has been more comfortable here by far.
Well, he's a different guy here than he was in Los Angeles. At the end of his career out there, his run in Los Angeles, he was a beaten down guy. Really, the press had gotten to him, and all the losing had gotten to him, and he really wasn't himself. When he came here to New Orleans, he's back to being himself. I think he's playing pretty good.
Everett's pass is caught by Early on a crossing pattern. He can't get out of bounds, and the clock continues to run. Newsome and Crawford combined. Remember, the Saints are out of timeouts, trailing by 17 points.
And I think if this Packer team is going to make a run at it, one area that they're really going to have to get better is tackling in their secondary. If they continue to miss as many tackles as they have, it's really going to hurt them.
Everett has Wesley Walls, and Walls can't get out of bounds, and the clock continues to run, and we'll get down to the 2-minute warning. A 14-yard pickup with Mike Pryor defending. So two things: the run defense, which Emmitt Smith has really hurt them when they've been matched up with Dallas, and as you point out, the secondary shoddy tackling. Brett is on the phone, and we'll take the 2-minute warning right here.
Tonight on Mad TV, Pauly Shore guest stars on a special holiday episode, and see why Newsweek calls Mad TV fresh, smart, and edgy. Everything the revamped Saturday Night Live isn't. Catch Mad TV late night tonight on Fox. As one of the cast members, he too had to like how he looked when he left home today.
Probably. He looks like he belongs on the island of misfit toys.
Not that guy, though. Not Brett Favre. 4 touchdown passes. His family ready to celebrate after this game. Heck, his father, Irvin, lives on the street named after him. They live at 1213 Irvin Favre Road in Kill because he was such a successful high school football coach. And Brett Favre didn't have many numbers because he liked the running game. They didn't want to throw the ball. First down on the 38-yard line, and dropped by Derek Brown on the screen pass. It was an incompleted pass. Imagine you have your son and you're coaching him, but because you have a 1,000-yard rusher, you say, look, we're going to be running the ball, we're not going to be throwing. And that's why Southern Mississippi was the only Division 1A team that really went after him.
Sounds like good coaching to me. Go ahead and name a street after him.
Reggie White feeling good today, said he would play, and he did. Second down and 10 from the 38 with 1:55 showing. Jim Everett completes to Wesley Walls, and he got by Mike Pryor and goes out of bounds. And that stops the clock at 1:49. And of course, hope you know that tonight is the fight. Mike Tyson, Buster Mathis Jr. The undercard begins at 8 o'clock Eastern, live from Philadelphia, only on Fox. No pay-per-view, no cable, but live television, over the air. Mike Tyson against Buster Mathis Jr. tonight. Always something exciting about a heavyweight fight, regardless of who's in the ring. There's a certain electricity.
I always like the power of the punches.
3rd and 2. First down to Quinn Early into Packer territory. It's Keith Crawford defending on the play. Saints will conclude their season against the New York Jets on the road next week. And the Packers, of course, have a rough game at Lambeau Field against the Steelers, who won earlier today. Everett gone deep. And Quinn Early. He actually got there, but couldn't extend enough to hold on to the ball.
Looks like they went with a double move, and Early is able to go right by Crawford. And then there's just not quite enough arm or leg to get there. A little bit faster, he could have been able to get under it. His arms would have been a little longer to have been able to grab it.
Quinn Early with 8 catches for 117 yards, goes over the 1,000 mark as a receiver and having his best year by far. Second down and 10. Everett, and the pass is caught by Lee DeRamus. Winding down to a minute remaining in this game, and hurry up, the Saints are playing this game as if it were 0-0. And they had a shot for the playoffs, which they don't. Wesley Walls inside the 20-yard line. And under a minute remaining, Crawford and Wayne Simmons defending on the play. Well, Edgar Bennett went over 1,000 yards. Reggie White played, and a miraculous return to action. Thrown away and caught by the ball boy, and
nice
flag
catch.
is down.
Nice catch, but he's feeling pretty good about himself, too.
He had one in hand, and now he had 2.
Yeah, he's taking high fives. Taking high fives on the sideline. This ball comes over there. I guess that's what you got to do when you're a ball guy. Heck, that's a one-hander. Yeah, heck, they should sign that guy up. He has one ball in his left hand. He catches it with his right hand.
He could be the ex-receiver.
The ex-receiver, the extra.
He's milking all of this for what it's worth.
Oh, yeah, ball person. First reception of the day.
Gabe Wilkins was offside. 31 seconds remaining. First down and 5. Everett goes underneath, and Derek Brown bobbled it forever and then held on to it.
You've been better off dropping it. Stop the clock.
2-yard pickup.
I don't like that throw. I think you got to throw it into the end zone here.
Second down and 3. Everett again goes underneath, and this time Brown has it and is out of bounds with 5 seconds remaining. Mike Pryor defending. So the New Orleans Saints, who lost their first 5 games of the season, will drop to 6-9 on the year. And the Green Bay Packers will be 10-5. And a Big 10th win. First time they've gotten to 10 in 6 years. First and goal from the 6. But the important thing is the clock. Flags fly, and the pass is caught by Torrance Small for a touchdown. Let's see who the penalty is on. It is a penalty against the Packers, apparently, and it'll go as a touchdown.
Offside, defense, penalty declined, touchdown.
Well, they end this game with a nicely thrown ball by Everett. Right in between coverage. Small comes down. Actually, I look like a drop right there.
And look at Mike Holmgren. This is a playoff dunk by Ken Rutgers, as the Green Bay Packers have earned the right to be in the wild card with a victory today. 2-point conversion coming up. All that matters, with no time remaining on the clock, is the final score. And for Jim Everett, a new Saints record with 25 touchdown passes on the year. This will be the last play, but the Packers have won it.
2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Oh, somebody said 12. There goes the flag.
And you heard the count.
Yeah, that was the umpire, and he was counting everybody.
One too many.
There were 12 men on the field on offense.
So that will nullify the 2-point conversion. The game is over. And the Green Bay Packers are in the playoffs with a record of 10-5 on the year. Brett Favre, with 4 touchdown passes, beats the Saints 34-23, and we'll be right back.